All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres beat the Cardinals last night 4-1. Blake Snell picked up his 11th win of the year, lowering his league-leading ERA down to 2.60. Game 2 is tonight, 4:45. First pitch, Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres. NFL news of the day, the Colts, they have placed Jonathan Taylor on the PUP list, meaning he will miss the first 4 games of the season, not granting his trade request. In other news in baseball, the Angels today, they put Lucas Giolito, 2 relievers, and Hunter Renfroe on waivers. They can all sign with another team for free on Thursday. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more when $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Offer ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/printing for details.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 1 of John and Jim. We are with you tonight until 6 p.m. Good to be back. Mark Redman, Aztec tight end, 2 touchdown receptions, one of just 3 Aztecs since at least 1996 with 2 or more touchdown grabs in a game. He will join us coming up at 5:30. We have great giveaways again for you here today, including tickets to see 50 Cent. We still have those, right, Brett? That's Thursday, which is like in 2 days, less than 50 hours.
50.
To go see 50 Cent. We also have Weezer tickets, so we'll give those away. But again, Mark Redman will join us at 5:30. Padres off the schneid. Big win last night. As you just heard there in the open.
Yeah, season
everything is changed. They went from a 1% chance of reaching the postseason, Jim, to a 2% chance of reaching the postseason with that big win yesterday.
I thought you were going to say they went from a 1% chance to a 1% chance.
Well, they went from a 0%. What they actually did is they went from no chance of reaching the postseason to no chance of reaching the postseason, to the point where you have Joe Musgrove before the game literally say, we're doomed. That's Joe Musgrove talking about the injuries, the close losses. We're doomed, which, by the way, is in a series of interesting things that Joe Musgrove has had to say this year with the San Diego Padres, and kind of a lost season a little bit for Joe Musgrove. So we're doomed. Now that goes into the Cardinals series. Is that your takeaway from 2023? The San Diego Padres were doomed.
The exact quote from Joe from yesterday from Kevin Acee says, "It feels like we're doomed. From the get-go, we just haven't had any breaks go our way. And down the stretch, when you feel like this is your last-ditch effort to really make a push and get back in it, to be shot down with Crony going down and then find out about Darvish going out."
Yeah, but that didn't matter.
I know it didn't.
That's like saying... It's like, dude, if the plane's already going down, it doesn't matter if you ran out of like gas. If you had an engine failure, that's a little doomsday, but he mentioned doom.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. They could have traded for Lucas Giolito. Yeah. We'll get into that later. They could have really anyone at their disposal for the final month of the season. They could have Shohei Ohtani with a UCL.
Weren't the Padres like in on Giolito too?
Again, did it make any sense?
Well, no, it didn't.
It didn't. But you get my point. It's like, I don't care who is on the Padres right now. Any excuse if we had injuries for the final month of the season, you weren't in it.
No.
You weren't in it at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it. I put this out yesterday as soon as Darvish got sent to the IL. Just log this one up to another potential excuse that will be used after the season. Oh, well, we didn't have Joe and you for the rest of the entire month of September when we really thought we were going to make a push. Give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
The Cronenworth injury does nothing.
He wasn't doing anything before he was injured.
Darvish, Darvish is having a bad year.
Right.
Like, it's not like you all of a sudden lost Manny, Soto, Tatis, throw in Hader, and then Blake Snell.
Right. If someone would have told me, hey, listen, Manny Machado didn't play this year, and here's why, you could always have that what if. Say they didn't have Manny.
Yep.
Okay, that's a fine what if scenario, and we would have played that game all year long if you didn't have Manny Machado. But here's the problem. They did. And they had the core four all year, including Tatis, who has literally played every day since serving the suspension.
Yeah, the injury excuse that I'm sure will be used at the end of the year, it does not apply to this team. It just doesn't. You've had guys go in and out here and there. Like Joe's been in and out, but when he's been on the field, he's been great. Snell's been healthy all year long. Darvish has been healthy all year long. Cronenworth has been healthy all year long. Like you said, the big four, there's not been, Josh Hader has been healthy all year long. So the excuse of injuries for this season is a bunch of bullcrap. It is. It doesn't apply. If they use it, I will definitely view that as, hey, they're trying to make you look over here when instead over here is the real problem. So yeah, I don't buy when Joe says, well, we thought we were going to be in it, but we lost Crony and Darvish. Like, no, you were never in it.
No, you know what it says to me is it says, I actually said a couple of weeks ago, don't sell Hader and Snell because we're going to pull to within a game. And then it's, we were going to pull to within a game if. No, you weren't. Because before these injuries, you were 6-14 over a 20-game stretch, essentially. Now, there's been some injuries in there, but you have not trended in the right direction ever all year. That's the problem.
It is funny because that quote from Joe talking about we're going to regret it if we trade Snell and Hader and we pull within a game. Like, they never got to within a game, but they got to within a game of 500 to like really potentially turn it around. And that was the moment that needed to be turned around. That moment after the trade deadline, you get to one game under 500. You haven't been over 500 since May, and you're taking on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers beat your ass to a pulp to where your entire season went off the rails. So even having Snell and Hader on your team,
Dodgers that credit. I think the Padres would have done it to themselves no matter what. I really believe that. I think if they would have gotten beaten by Kansas City the last two games of the series, oh, by the way, they did this year. If they would have gotten beaten by Pittsburgh the last two games of the series, oh, by the way, they did. When they lose the series to Oakland, oh, by the way, they will. Anything could have taken this team off the rails. They've been that fragile. They're like fine china.
Yeah, they are. But I also am not going to look over the fact of who they were playing when they were playing. And who they were playing was one of the best teams in the National League, and frankly, one of the best teams in baseball when they were trying to get over that hump. And that team that was in front of them, it was like, nah, sorry.
Yeah,
not
but
going to
again,
happen.
how fragile are you if you lose 2 of 3? They weren't even swept. They lose 2 of 3.
Lost 3 of 4.
Whatever it is. They lose 3 of 4, and that derails the entire season. That's what happened.
Well, there's many
or
more
was it 18
points
and
of the
15?
season.
Or was it when they were 18 and 15 and lost the last 2 games to the Dodgers? That derailed their season?
They were 18 and 15. They lost 2 games to the Dodgers, 2 out of 3. And they went on a complete spiral to a point where they have never been over 500 since.
So I just feel like that's giving way too much credit to the Dodgers and way too little attention to the fact that this is who the Padres are this year.
I would say both are, for me, both are true.
Okay.
Like, yes, this is who the Padres are, but also the Dodgers after those series. I don't think it's a coincidence that after those 2 series, this team went in an absolute spiral.
Dude, they could have lost to the Toledo Mud Hens when they were 55 and 56. The same thing would have happened.
Probably.
They could have, honestly, I mean, this thing was destined to fail from the get-go. Why? No one knows.
We're doomed.
Exactly. Why? No one knows. And this is now on Peter Seidler, not even AJ Preller, because, I mean, we're assuming Preller's back. But Seidler's the one that's going to keep him around if he is back. You got to get to the bottom of this. This is like a CSI investigation. What on earth happened? And there's twists and turns. Like, why did this happen with this group? And what can be done to rectify it in the immediate short term, like 2024? Because you can't have this thing go sideways again and be like, it's all right.
It is. I mean, at the end of the year, we can put together an entire show on the amazing quotes by Joe this year.
Amazing.
From the egos in the room to the trade deadline to the urgency to the we're doomed. I mean, every segment of the show could be based off of just one thing that Joe said this year.
I didn't like him saying publicly, hey, we should keep Hader and Snell because we're going to make a run at this. Because to me, that's speaking out of turn. Like, Nobody's telling him. I don't hear AJ Preller saying, "Hey, Joe Musgrove needs to work on his cut fastball." Like, let Joe Musgrove do his thing and let AJ Preller and Peter Seidler do their thing. But when you start publicly putting pressure on ownership and the front office, and not to say he put him in a corner, I don't really think he did. I don't think Joe Musgrove is ultimately making the decisions for Peter Seidler or AJ Preller. I don't think anyone really believes that. But to say it publicly before the trade deadline, there's no need for that. The only thing that there was a need for was you to play better as a team. That's what the need was.
And also in the quote in AC's article yesterday, talking about, well, we haven't had any breaks go our way this year.
Right.
I don't chalk that up to anything but you make your own breaks, right? You can't go out there and say, well, I hope we get a break today.
Right.
Like, you can't go out into a season and be like, man, I hope we get lucky this year. You have to go out there and be a good team and create your own luck, because that's what good teams do. Good teams, you might say, oh, the Dodgers have been super lucky this year at times. Well, they're also one of the best teams in baseball. So, yeah, every good team has a couple breaks go their way here and there. But a majority of the time, they win games because why, John? They're a good team, not because they get lucky all the time.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The fact that they're 0-10 in extra innings, a lot of that's on them. Now, again, I think if you replay the season, they're probably not 0-10 in extra innings. That's hard to do.
There's a couple games where you could put it on, the break didn't go their way, and it was unlucky.
Yeah, like any team. But when you're 6-20 in one-run games, like, that's on you.
Yeah.
And that's where they were actually really good a year ago, and they haven't been very good this year. The whole we've been doomed from day one. No, I'm with you. It's like, no, you make your own luck. And listen, with a payroll like this, it's interesting how we look at things with like perspective, like expectations, right? The expectations for the Padres were to get to a World Series this year. That's what people had expected or hoped for.
Yep.
The expectations for the Washington Nationals this year was we're rebuilding.
Yeah.
We traded
Top
Juan
10
Soto.
draft pick.
Then all of a sudden, those seasons literally like collide. 5 months into the year, where you got this team with high expectations that meets up with this team with low expectations, and they're tied in the standings. And there's no other way. You can't just be like, well, they're 62-70, and so are the Nationals. Is it really that bad? Yeah, because they were in the NLCS last year, and they were supposed to get to a World Series. And now we're talking about, are they going to finish with a top 6 pick?
Yeah, it's everything that's being said by this team out of the clubhouse is very interesting, to say the least. All these quotes, you can put up on a bulletin board how many quotes that have come out of this clubhouse this year that you're like, what? To the Manny Machado saying, hey, you better get on the bandwagon now, because we're down the road when we start effing raking, you're going to be upset you weren't on it. To Soto just completely dismissing the Dodgers as any type of threat.
That was in like April. Like, whoa, chill, man.
You have Juan Soto also calling out his team for quitting. You got Blake Snell worrying about his ERA.
That was ridiculous.
You got Joe talking multiple times about this team. Manny, just not talking to the media at times during the worst parts of their season, and coming back and saying, well, it's just baseball. I'm sure I'm missing some in there, but man, it doesn't feel like there's a singular message coming out of that clubhouse ever.
And again, because you can point like a lens, you can point blame anywhere. When I hear you say that, I immediately am like, well, the manager, okay, so they've been ego driven. Me. Hey, look at me. I'm Blake Snell. What about my ERA? Hey, don't do like. But there is a manager too. Like, if we're going to blame the general manager and we're going to say that this is just a bunch of me's in there, then again, the problem with this conversation is I don't know where it starts. It's not Bob Melvin, but I also don't know where it ends.
Would you agree, though, if there are people that think Bob Melvin's a horrible manager and should be fired
ASAP? In San Diego?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think there's also people that think that, we didn't land on the moon, which we may not have. But you get my point.
But to what you were saying about, well, when I hear those quotes and I hear those things, I immediately go to the manager. I would say this: don't you think there are situations where, regardless of who the manager is, some things are out of his control, where, like, you are going to go tell the guy making $30+ million that he needs to like do this when like, I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. Sometimes you can't control certain people. You can't control certain egos in the room. It doesn't matter if Bob Melvin's won multiple championships.
But what about, but last year just worked, and then this year.
And do you think last year was all like easygoing?
Well, no baseball season is, I don't think, certainly for the Padres.
I do think while last year ended, I'm not going to say on a high because we were all upset after Game 5 of the NLCS, and rightfully so. It was not fun. It was not good. And at the moment, it wasn't fun. But in retrospect, you look at them reaching the NLCS as a major accomplishment. But I think we also forget, like how difficult last year was and also how many stories and how much of a rocky ride that was to get to an NLCS.
Yeah, but we're close to it. When you cover someone every game, that's how it's going to be.
That's what I'm saying.
They were 15 over out of the gates. It wasn't near as rocky as most Padres seasons.
The team was under 500 for 4 months of the season.
But they weren't, because they were over 500 all year.
Well, my point is they were playing less than 500 baseball for 4 months.
But they never even felt. We went back and looked at this. They never even fell out of a playoff spot at any point, including in September when Bob Melvin talked to his team after getting shut out in Arizona.
And if it wasn't for the first month of the season, to their credit, which was great, I think it was like the first month and a half, which was great. Season's not good at all.
Right. And if I didn't get hired here, I wouldn't be working here. So
Correct.
You can't really take that away from the equation.
I'm just saying, John, as the total of the entirety of a season, there were a lot of rocky, bumpy moments.
Like with every team. If you were doing Dodgers radio, you'd be like, yeah, they won 111 games, but they lost the Padres in the playoffs. What a failure. It was miserable, a disaster. So unless you're winning the World Series, you're probably going to say that about most teams.
I would say in the moment you had a horrible finish to a great season for the Dodgers last year. Dodgers went, just plowed
horrible season to a horrible finish to a great season. You think that's what Dodgers fans were thinking last year? Hey, that was a great season, but a horrible finish.
No, I'm telling you the facts. That they had a really, really good season, the best in franchise history, regular season, won the division, franchise record in wins, and all came crashing down in the NLDS.
Jim, 89 wins for the Padres is a top 5 finish in the history of the franchise.
Which is also saying something in itself.
I mean, we went through, they've had like 490 win seasons. I don't even know how we got here or what the point is. What's the point you're trying to make?
That sometimes if you're a manager of the team, no matter how good you are, and you expect him to, rein in the clubhouse, sometimes it's out of his control.
Okay, so I'm all for saying, hey, the manager, when everything's perfect, doesn't get all the credit. And I'm all for when the team doesn't play well, the manager doesn't get all the blame. But I am for casting blame everywhere with this team, including towards Bob Melvin. Like, I think that's really fair. Like, I want to make that clear. I think Bob Melvin has accountability.
Well, yeah.
I think he's got a good amount of accountability. Like, if we're just saying, hey, he can't control the egos, so it's not on him, then what is on him?
I was just saying that aspect of it, John.
Just that aspect. But he controls in-game decision-making, right? Yeah. So, like, when he's pulling the wrong strings with his bullpen, when they're not holding leads, when guys stick in a game too long, like Matt Waldron.
We also know that historically Bob Melvin is really good in one-run games.
Yeah, that's fine, but you're also going to, and I also know last year the Padres were in the NLCS, but nobody seems to care about that.
Well, people care about that, but they also care about this year, and they care about the future of the team. And to continue to look back on a season that is now in the past, I'm not for that.
Well, that's what I'm with you. And to say that Bob Melvin has good records in one-run games, so then we should look the other way because it's just a one-off season. I mean, aren't we looking also at the past then?
Okay, John. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying his record in one-run games is really good. So to this year have a bad record in one-run games, does that mean he's all of a sudden a crap manager?
No, but I'm saying that for whatever reason, I'm not with the fan base. He's the last person you want to hold accountable.
He is the person that I think doesn't deserve what's going to come his way.
Well, we don't even know what's going to come his way. We have no idea how this ends. We don't. We really don't. We don't know if Preller's back. We think he is based on Seidler's comments. We don't know if Melvin's back. We have no idea. And we don't even know if he wants to be back. He said he wants to finish what he started. Does that mean this season? Or does that mean he wants to finish his career here?
I don't know, John. We'll find out.
Okay, but I mean, last year, and you were one of the people, last year, the postseason, we were killing Bob Melvin for his decision-making. Killing.
Yeah. I didn't. There were some times when he kept his guys in too long. He didn't make moves out of the bullpen fast enough and didn't use Josh Hader at all in Philadelphia in the NLCS. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, fire him. Go ahead.
But that's not the point. That's honestly not my point. My point is that, like, for whatever reason, he gets a pass. It's like, and for whatever reason, it's all on everyone else.
So what are you saying then?
I'm saying he's accountable. I think everyone's accountable. I really do.
Who's saying he's not?
I feel like you are.
I'm not. I've said it multiple times, dude. I've said he is accountable for this. Do I think he's accountable enough to be fired? No. That's what I've said from day one. Well, nothing's changed here.
All right, I guess the question is, what do you want to hear from Peter Seidler and AJ Preller when the season ends? Right? I mean, what do you want to hear from AJ Preller? What do you want to hear from Peter Seidler?
I don't know what can be said, honestly. I don't know. Because whatever he says, I guarantee you it's not going to be good enough.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Whatever he says is not going to be good enough. There is absolutely no doubt about that. All right, Mark Redman will join us coming up at 5:30. He will join us then, coming off a 2-touchdown game for San Diego State. We'll look ahead to Idaho State as well. We have tickets to give away today to see 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater Thursday night. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. We also have tickets to give away to see Weezer, Gallagher Square, September 3rd. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. As you assign blame, were they doomed? Maybe they were just doomed. Nobody could have saved the season. Maybe the excuses are legitimate. Is it on AJ Preller? Is it on Peter Seidler? Is it on Bob Melvin? Is it on the players? 844-570-1360. 70470. Start it with team. What do you want to hear from Peter Seidler and or AJ Preller once the season ends? Mark Redman at 5:30. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, we've got giveaways on the show today, including 50 Cent tickets and Weezer tickets. San Diego State tight end Mark Redman will join the show at 5:30. On the other side, what do you want to hear from Peter Seidler when the season ends? That's next on John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres beat the Cardinals last night 4-1. Blake Snell picked up his 11th win of the year, lowered his league-leading ERA to 2.60. Game 2 is tonight, 4:45 first pitch. Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres. Other news around baseball, the Angels today put Lucas Giolito, 2 relievers, and Hunter Renfroe on waivers. They can be picked up by any team starting on Thursday. And the Colts, they have placed Jonathan Taylor, who has requested a trade on the PUP list, meaning he will miss the first 4 games of the season. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Offer ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/printing for details.
You know, it's going to be interesting when the Padres come home. We'll get your calls, by the way, 844-570-1360. They'll be home this weekend. I'm curious to see what Petco Park looks like for these final, dozen home games? 4 against the Giants, 3 against the Phillies. Later, it's 3 against the Rockies and 3 against the Cardinals.
I want to say one of those games is a Tatis bobblehead giveaway.
Yeah, and a lot of them are weekends. I mean, half of these games are Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and the other half are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
How many games are left? Like 10?
7, 10, 13.
13? I would say of the 13, 8 are sellouts.
Probably. Yeah, I agree. Probably. Yeah, as in they'll never really feel it's crazy. You're going to finish under 500, yet they're never going to suffer really
Never
in the pocketbooks. I mean, you look at the schedule, maybe there's like a 110 game against the Rockies. Okay. Maybe you don't fill it up. But outside of that,
it's not this year, it's next year.
Potentially.
How is it going to look next season? Because we have heard that, tickets are, sold. There's waiting lists. There, all this stuff. I'd be curious to see how many people, depending on the direction of this franchise, where they go after the season ends and the excuses that they'll say and who's brought back and who's let go, how many people will cut their losses. as far as season tickets go.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious, and what impact will that have on the Padres spending heading into 2024? I wouldn't think would have a drastic impact. I think the Padres will draw either way. I don't know if they'll draw the exact same amount, but I think they'll draw either way.
Did you see that the Padres sent out an email to all season ticket holders? And I forget, hold on, let me check what the exact date. There's like a fan appreciation thing going on for, like, I don't know, members or whatever. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Just came into my head.
You find that 844-570-1360. Joe, thanks for being patient. Joe, you're on with John and Jim.
Hi guys, thanks.
What's up, Joe?
Well, you know what? I'm going to blame pretty much everybody. I blame most of all AJ Preller because he's the architect of this team. He had a blank check and he spread money around like there's no tomorrow. This is his team and he's got to own it. The players, again, every single player with the exception of Kim and Sanchez, who I don't have a problem with, has really underperformed this year. They're sorry. They make excuses. There's no life to this team. It's been pathetic all year long. Lastly, I'll blame Melvin. It seems like he's always making that change in the bullpen 1 or 2 players too late. I don't know how we have a guy, Bogarts, batting 5th all year. There's over 150 players that have more RBIs than our 5th place hitter. I mean, that's pathetic. I really, my big concern is where's this team going next year? We're not a big market team, and this is not sustainable. The Padres have gone from one of the most fun teams out there. Now we're the laughing stock. Other teams, other cities hate us. Where's the pluses? And
Joe,
Seidler's got to look at what's going on with this team as well.
Joe, we appreciate the call.
Thanks, Joe.
It's interesting because you would have looked at the Padres like 2 years ago, like, oh, Slam Diego, young, exciting, fresh, new, unwritten rules, and a couple years later, like, man,
burn it down.
Yeah, and this team has been a frustrating watch.
Frustrating, as I think is a kind word.
Probably.
So I found it.
Okay.
It is Member Appreciation Party.
Okay.
On September 2nd or September 6th.
Okay.
Live music, games, prizes, giveaways, and more at Gallagher Square. Saturday 9-2 pregame from 2 to 3:30, or Wednesday 9-6 postgame from 4 to 5:30.
Okay.
The big perk of this Members Appreciation Party, John, is 1 free hot dog and 1 free drink.
Okay, it's nice.
That's it.
Oh, what do you? Oh, you're saying they should give away the world because this team's been so bad.
I mean, if I'm paying the money to be a member for this team,
what do you want? What would you want?
Based on hot dogs.
Yeah, based on what you see, what do you want? I mean, what you want a Honda Accord? I get it. Like you want a lot based on what you've seen.
I think just the optics of it, like, hey, here's a free hot dog and a drink.
Right, exactly. Hey, you spent $4,000 on these tickets.
And by the way, this hot dog that we sell you, the charity is going to a random organization that doesn't even exist, but that's for another day.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the funny thing is if they didn't do it, nobody would say anything. If they didn't have a member appreciation day, they probably wouldn't get ripped for it.
I also think that if they had this exact same thing and everybody got 1 free hot dog and 1 free drink and they were winning, nobody would care.
Exactly. That's exactly. Or like they sent out season people didn't like they sent out season ticket renewals. Like, oh, they sent out season ticket renewals and the team wasn't playing well. I'm like, well, hold on.
They're supposed to.
They're going to have to send out renewals at some point, and they haven't played well all year. When are they supposed to send them out?
The timing of it was very curious.
Of the renewals?
Like when they sent it out.
When would the good time have been this year?
I don't know.
Yeah, would it have been now?
Well, they sent it out
when they were 18 and 15.
They sent it out, I think, after they lost 3 or 4 to the Dodgers.
Right. Yeah, I guess there probably wasn't going to be a good time.
Yeah.
In the second half of this year, unfortunately.
Well, if they send it out on that Thursday, which we have deemed like the best day of the year up to this point.
Which Thursday?
That off day Thursday.
Yes. Yeah, they could have done that
after the deadline, and they just took 2 or 3 from Colorado. They're 1 game under 500. This is before we found out Joe's arm blew up on him. This is before the Dodgers series.
Right.
and we're like, this is a great off day.
That would have been the day to send out the renewals.
Yep.
Renew now.
Maybe they were just waiting until they won 4 in a row. Then they were going to send it
Well,
out.
they're going to be waiting probably till
That's the problem. The problem
year.
is they probably were waiting on the renewals. That's the problem. They're like, hey, let's do it in June. No, we're not playing well. Let's do it in July. Well, we're not playing well. Let's do it. At some point, you just got to do it. Would be my guess.
So what do you want to hear from Peter and AJ after the season?
Honestly, I think Peter's going to say the right things. I thought in 2021, he was like overly apologetic. He took all of the responsibility. He talked to everyone he could possibly talk to, radio, television, print, and said 100-year collapse. I own the team. It starts with me. I'll do a better job. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I think Peter Seidler is going to say all the right things. The only thing he can't say if he keeps AJ Preller is I'm going to make a change at the head of baseball operations. I think he's going to say all the right things. My question is he going to act with the action hoping for? By the way, I wouldn't be shocked if AJ Preller took some level of accountability. I think he did earlier this year. He said, my team, I'm responsible for it. He beat around the bush with it, but he did ultimately say that.
It was like thrown in there.
He threw it in.
Like
Right. It was
one
a
line.
He said, I'm responsible.
Yeah. But
I mean, I think they'll take responsibility. I don't think they'll spin it like, I don't think you're going to hear, hey, we had injuries in August.
I think they're going to say the technical right things, but I think that it won't go over well because you've already used that card, and that happened 2 years ago. And you also use that. They've used the same, lines out of the playbook for now 3 years out of the last 6 seasons. Or wait,
5
seasons.
3
times. So you've said pretty much the exact same things 3 times, and they're going to say it after this season. So they haven't said it yet.
I don't remember what they said after 2019. Because was Seidler even the owner? When did they go out in the offseason and get Musgrove, Darvish, Snell?
After the 2020 year, going into the 2021 season.
Okay, so Seidler was not representing ownership in 2019.
Well, Ron Fowler, I believe, after 2019, and we've
Heads will roll.
Yeah, along those lines, but yeah, I think it was in season. It was the heads will roll.
I think so too.
And he also mentioned how big of a disappointment it was the 2019 offseason.
Yes.
And Ron Fowler is no person to shy away from, like, ripping his team.
Right.
So he definitely said the things that are in the playbook that have been said too many times in the, just a short period of time by this franchise.
Yeah, no, 2019 wasn't good. I agree. I think it was a little different, and the ownership was different because Ron Fowler was representing ownership. This is basically Seidler's second time to quote unquote get it right. 2021, he had his first chance. He elected to not cut bait.
But it's not like he wasn't involved heavily with the team.
True.
Before he became the initial owner.
But he wasn't the one going on the
owner.
radio speaking on behalf of the organization in 2019, was he?
He went on with Darren
a
lot. And I remember in 2019, before the season started, that was the year they brought up Tatis, that they were talking about if we didn't bring up Tatis this right now, which not ruined his clock, but started his clock maybe too early. And we missed out on the postseason by a couple games. He's like, I would never forgive myself if that happened, if we didn't do that. And instead they finished like 30 out.
Right. But I mean, I give him credit for doing that as opposed to just keeping him in the minor leagues toiling to start the year.
I appreciate his optimism for things, but as time goes on, when you see the same things happening over and over again, that optimism for fans, it's like woof, right over the head. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear this optimism because guess what? You said it before and nothing's changed.
Yeah, he'll have criticism levied his way. I think at the end of the day, you probably wouldn't want anyone else assuming he's going to keep spending like this. I think a lot of fans equate winning to spending. Now, it doesn't always work that way. Look at the Mets. Look at the Padres. Look at the Yankees. But would you prefer to do it the other way, which is do it on a budget?
No, I would prefer to have Peter Seidler, the owner of the Padres. I think
I'm not saying you. I'm saying would Padres fans prefer to do it with someone that was willing to cut their GM, but was going to try to have a payroll that was 15th in baseball as opposed to 3rd?
No, I think fans want Peter here, obviously. But I do think as time goes on with AJ still at the helm and seasons like this happening every other year, the fans will start saying, "Hey, Peter, bro, what's going on here?" And the pressure will be put on Peter for sure.
It'll be
to
interesting
make
to see
to make a drastic move to change things.
I wonder when.
Yeah, because if it's not this year,
Yeah, exactly.
are we
Like,
gonna have to wait
are
for
you feeling the heat? Honestly, are you feeling? I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing 40,000 people on bobblehead nights. I'm seeing high renewal rates. I'm sorry, there'll be a lot of people there in 2024. Maybe not the same.
There won't. I would unless they have a great year next year.
Right.
I don't see them breaking whatever record they're going to set.
Oh,
for
I
attendance
agree with
this
that,
season.
but I also don't see it being 12,000 people at games. I think they'll draw in 2024. All right, it's been awful for the Padres, but it could always be worse. We will explain on the other side. Plus, 50-cent tickets, we'll give those away in the 4 o'clock hour. Weezer tickets we'll give away in the 5 o'clock hour. Mark Redman, San Diego State tight end, 2 touchdowns in that victory on Saturday over Ohio. He'll join us at 5:30. Stay with us on John and Jim. As bad as it's been for the Padres, it could be a lot worse. I mean, way worse. And we'll explain next. All right, so Jeff Passan within the last hour, you've heard Jim talk about it during his updates. The Angels placing basically everyone on their team on waivers. Not everyone.
Except for Shohei.
Not Shohei, not Trout. But Lucas Giolito, they gave up their first top prospect in the organization for Giolito from the White Sox. He's been terrible with the Angels. They put relievers on the market. They put a couple of outfielders on waivers, including Hunter Renfroe. Why? To save money.
To be under, they were over the CBT. They're only going to save about $7 million here for the remainder of the season on this.
Yeah, Jeff Passan says just for salary relief. So were they even? I don't even know if it gets them under that number. I don't think it gets them. Does it? Just a month's worth of savings get them under that number? I don't know.
So Kylie McDaniel says that the Angels are narrowly in the CBT first tier. If a couple of these players get claimed as expected, they will fall below the CBT. That means the 2024 draft comp pick they'd receive for losing Shohei in free agency would be a second round pick rather than after the fourth round.
Oh, well, I'm sure they'll take advantage of that pick because they've been really good in the draft. So the Angels have placed, again, 5 players on their 26-man roster on waivers. This was a team that didn't trade Ohtani. They went for it.
Mm-hmm.
And less than a month later, they placed 5 players on their big league roster. This is essentially unprecedented on waivers, which means they're eligible to be picked up by potentially contenders for the postseason this year.
And traded away a couple top prospects.
Right.
In getting Lucas Giolito, who has been a disaster for them.
Mm-hmm.
So every single Padres fan out there listening to us or watching us on YouTube, just remember, while it sucks right now,
could be worse.
It could be way worse.
Way worse. Can you imagine that? I mean, what's the equivalent of that type of day for the Padres? Maybe acquiring Lucas Giolito and putting him on waivers.
Yeah. and giving up a top prospect for him. Like, imagine if they gave up Jackson Merrill for Lucas Giolito.
And then put him on waivers.
And put him on waivers 2 weeks later.
To get under the CBT. Oh, and by the way, put up 4 other players on waivers.
It would be essentially not trading Snell and Hader, right? And then putting them on waivers.
Well, can you imagine that?
Like tomorrow.
Well, and here's the thing. For those that say, well, why not bring Giolito home? It's not home, but to San Diego. Well, he's a free agent at the end of the year.
What's the point?
Right. I mean, you could just pay him to finish his contract. It's very small money, obviously, for a month. But because you don't have Musgrove and because you don't have Darvish and you're looking to fill out your rotation, but you're not going anywhere.
And the Mets are doing the kind of the same thing. Carlos Carrasco
it's like the thing.
On the waivers because there's no waiver there's no waiver deadline anymore in baseball where you put guys on waivers after the deadline and then you could still trade them. Remember the Adrian Gonzalez year when he got traded?
Yeah, you had until the end of August.
Correct. So that doesn't happen anymore. So maybe you're going to start seeing more players just getting put on waivers and released that are making good money.
And I think if you don't have someone on your big league roster 9-1, they're not eligible for the postseason. So because it's August 29th, if someone were to claim Lucas Giolito, he could appear for them in the postseason. If you claim someone, I don't even know if you can in September, they're not going to appear for you, I believe, in the postseason. So interesting. We'll see if imagine this. Lucas Giolito gets put on waivers, then ends up with a contender and plays a role for a team going through the postseason.
That would be very interesting.
And possible.
But we all talk about this organization being a dysfunction. I mean, that organization it kind of feel like mirrors the Padres in the American League of some sorts. Maybe not to the extent of how bad the Angels are, like the Padres, because they've actually like done something.
Mm-hmm.
The Angels haven't done anything,
right?
Like, in how long? I mean, Trout's made the playoffs 1 year, and that was like his second year in the bigs.
9 years ago or something.
Yeah, disaster there. Disaster. If anybody does a Angels wrap up show, I feel sorry for you.
I mean, listen, if I saw these moves and I was Mike Trout, I'm calling my agent and be like, get me out of here. He's not going to do that. If I'm Shohei Ohtani, I'm not even listening to the Angels.
I'm like,
hit free agency.
I'm gone. The second the season's over, I'm gone.
Yeah, like lose my phone number. I changed to Verizon. Like I have a new account.
Oh, gross.
You know
what? Verizon.
Why? What's wrong with Verizon? Is that bad?
Do you have Verizon?
I do.
Of course you do.
What do you have?
AT&T.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Gross.
Gross. Ew.
Do you pay for it? There's no chance in hell you do.
Yes, I do.
You pay?
Yeah.
Really?
Me and Aaron are on a family plan now. So what happens when you have a fiance.
You go, okay, so you have the savings then. by being on a
Yeah,
family
you like
plan.
create a plan together and stuff.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, so it could be a lot worse. And by the way, I mean, it's not like the Angels went into the season thinking, "Hey, we're gonna." It's. I mean, listen, when you have Ohtani and Trout on your team,
You should
you
win
should
some
think
games.
you have a shot. There's 6 teams in the playoffs in each league.
Yeah, and like I said, how the Padres have never. I'm not gonna say they've never drafted well, but they've never drafted and developed the pieces that championship teams kind of need to fill out a roster. AJ Preller's never done that. He's just drafted them, developed them a little bit, and then traded them away.
Yep, that's true.
The Angels, on their hand, they can't draft, develop if their life depended on it.
They drafted Trout, right?
Did they?
They did.
Okay.
Right? Out in high school in Jersey.
But they've gone through multiple GMs
Oh,
since then.
100%. Yeah. I mean, Perry Manasian has not been there a long time.
Didn't last year they only draft pitchers? I think
I think 20 straight picks.
like 20
Yeah.
straight picks was all pitchers.
Yeah. That's amazing.
One of them's got a hit, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. All right. Hour 2 of John and Jim is on the other side. Do you want to see the Padres put a waiver claim in for Lucas Giolito or not? Plus, in the 4 o'clock hour, we will give away a pair of tickets to see 50 Cent at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater this Thursday night. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Keep listening for your chance to win. Mark Redman, Aztec tight end, will join us at 5:30. Stay with us on John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Cardinals game 2 of their series after the Padres took game 1 last night is tonight at 4:45. Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres. Other news in baseball, we just talked about it. The Angels releasing Lucas Giolito, who they just traded for earlier this month, 2 relievers and outfielder Hunter Renfroe. And NFL news of the day, the Colts are putting running back Jonathan Taylor on the PUP list, meaning he will miss the first 4 weeks of the season. All this is fishy after Jonathan Taylor requested a trade. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Offer ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions do apply. Visit staples.com/printing for details.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, hour 2, John and Jim. Mark Redman, San Diego State tight end, 2 touchdowns against Ohio this weekend. He will join us coming up at 5:30. We have ticket giveaways this hour, 50 Cent. Next hour, Weezer, Gallagher Square, September 3rd. 50 Cent, by the way, is Thursday night at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater.
I love the way you say
info
50 Cent.
at Ticketmaster.com. 50 Cent.
50 Cent.
I'm ready for this concert to
Go.
I'm ready for us to have given away all the tickets.
50 Cent.
So I don't have to say it again until potentially
50.
next.
This is 50.
There we go.
50 Cent.
Do we think we see, this is kind of a rap question, but it's not a rap question. Will we see either you, Darvish, or Blake Snell this year?
You mean
Other than in the dugout?
You mean Joe Musgrove?
Or Joe Musgrove. Not Blake Snell. Will we see either you, Darvish, or Joe Musgrove again this year?
I will say no, and I hope we don't.
I agree. What if they get hot? Win 4 in a row. Heading into that members only party where you get the hot dog and cola.
I saw something.
And a jacket.
Right.
Yeah, I saw something the other day that said what teams need to do, like how the teams need to finish this year to reach their win total projections.
Yeah, I think the Padres had to close 30-1.
The other day it was 31-0. I saw 31-0.
That's like that. Yeah, could they have 30 games left? Yeah, they won yesterday.
Mhm.
Could still happen.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not putting that past them.
94 wins. That's what I think the projection was. So that they would need to win. They need to win out now because they got what 30 games remaining.
Yeah, that seems likely.
Yeah. It's
It
very,
seems
very
very-
likely. Very, very, very likely.
When they haven't won 4 in a row all year, when they have Rich Hill pitching tomorrow, when they don't have Joe Musgrove, when they
Hey.
don't have you, Darvish.
It's coming, John.
Well, I will say, it's been bad. We just talked about the Angels, Mets, bad. Cardinals don't exactly look great.
They're the
from what
second-
we saw yesterday.
Second worst team in the National League.
Isn't that
Cardinals.
amazing?
Talk about a bad year.
There's something, I forget the stat. There's something like St. Louis has like never finished with the worst record in the National League, like ever. Or if they have, it's been like literally 100 years. It's that bad of a year. Like Padres have been the worst team in the National League. Go look at their history. They've been the worst team in their division.
Mhm.
Look at their history.
Yeah.
Cardinals, it doesn't happen, man. They win a lot of divisions.
I think I was. Who did I listen? I don't know where I heard. I forgot where I heard this. Might have been Darren. I don't remember. The Cardinals have made the postseason 16 of the last 20 years.
So a model of consistency.
Yeah.
Very similar to the Padres.
Very similar. Very.
And how many
Very similar.
Just
titles?
the
they have?
opposite end of the spectrum.
How many titles they have? The second most ever, I think.
7 or 8
That's more. Let's see.
in the modern era.
What's the modern era?
I don't know. I just like saying modern era.
They have 11.
Okay.
They have 11.
I was off by a couple.
Most recently in 2011. I think it's the second most of the Yankees.
How many in the 2000s?
2. 2006 and 2011.
The 2006 year. I remember that year like it was yesterday.
Do you?
Padres played them in the division round.
Playoffs, yeah.
And the Cardinals that year, I think, won. It was like the mid-off because the Padres, I think, won like 83 games and the Cardinals won 86.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yes, they have 11.
11. Okay. That's a lot. That's 11 more than the Padres. Anyway, game 2 is today
Yankees
coming up.
have 27.
Coming up at 4:45. And I think that's number 1 and number 2 in the history of
Yeah.
baseball. All right. Let's get to the wrap.
Which team do you think Blake Snell will sign with next year?
I'm gonna go with his hometown team, the Seattle Mariners.
Wow.
I think Seattle is a team to watch out for Blake Snell. We saw when they went to Seattle this year, him posting on his Instagram like, I'm home.
Right.
And he's a creature of habit. He wants to go probably somewhere where he will feel very comfortable off the rip. I'll go with Seattle.
I mean, it's not going to be Tampa.
No,
it's just not. They don't spend like that.
Nope.
Seattle's a good one. It is. I mean, don't put it past the Dodgers.
Stop it.
They have the money.
They're going off to Ohtani.
I think they could do both.
Do they need Blake Snell?
Yeah, they probably could use starting pitching.
Here's why they are not going to go after Blake Snell, because they have their own left-hander in free agency that they need to probably re-sign, and that's Julio Urias. I think they would choose him over Blake Snell.
Yeah, probably. But we'll see if they can. That's fair. And then there's San Diego.
So who are you picking?
I'm going to say Blake Snell next year pitches with the. I can't pick a team.
You think?
Come on.
I can't.
As much as he talks about it still, I think he'll go back to Tampa.
But the money there,
Brent, man, they've never.
They're not spending that much money. If Blake Snell is going to ask, and because he's a Boris client, they're not going to allow Blake Snell to go anywhere on any type of discount.
I know, that's the thing.
Like they just won't.
I'll give you another one. The Giants. Yeah, the Giants have money. I'm saying I'll say Giants. You say Seattle. I'll say Giants.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Write it down.
I just, for whatever Blake Snell's going to ask for, and you might say he deserves it, but no chance in hell am I giving Blake Snell.
I agree with you.
A 4-year or 5-year or even a 6-year deal north of $150 million.
But here's the thing: we won't, but someone will.
I know.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying I
wouldn't either.
They'll give him some free Twitch.
He's not. This is, by the way, you're buying at the extreme high point on Snell. Yeah, he won the 2018 Cy Young, but he's not replicating this.
No,
it's going to be very unlikely.
No, I told someone the other day that he's pretty much the Deshaun Jackson of baseball, to where if it's a contract year, he's going to ball out. But if it's not a contract year, he's just going to slough off and do whatever.
And it's tough because next year, the Padres need pitching in a bad way. And if you look at their options, and if you say, well, they bring back Lugo and they bring back Waka, and then you have Darvish and Musgrove, and you have Nick Martinez. To me, that's not a good enough starting rotation. That's just not
right. Next question.
Here's our NFL news for the day, guys. Are the Colts holding Jonathan Taylor hostage by putting him on the PUP list instead of just trading him?
Dude, this situation with Jonathan Taylor, just trade him. He doesn't want to play for you anymore. But Jim Irsay is too stubborn and thinks that no, I can give it a play. And then they put him on the PUP list, basically saying, yeah, we're not going to trade you, and if you're not going to play for us, then we're just gonna put you on the PUP, so we can have that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean okay. So the question here is, are the Colts? Yeah, they basically are. I don't really like what's going on in the NFL with running backs. I don't like the way franchise tags have been used. I don't like the way that they basically get one deal. I get it. I mean, they don't have long careers, but I don't. It feels, for whatever reason, it feels like the teams have such power over players in the NFL that doesn't feel that way in the NBA. I don't think feels that way in Major League Baseball. And you're the Colts. Grant him his wish. You're the Colts.
For me, it just feels like this is the off season that they're going to make an example out of running backs. Whether it was Saquon and his holdout, where they weren't going to pay him any money, and then he pretty much settled for the 11 or whatever he got. But they've the NFL's made themselves very clear that we don't value running backs.
Right.
So if you're a running back, don't tell us you're going to hold out or demand anything because we don't value you anymore.
Next question.
Does baseball need more security after Ronald Acuna Jr. was nearly assaulted on field last night?
What the hell
It was very
are
weird.
these security guards in Colorado doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they went up to these fans and just like hugged them. Like, no, spear their asses, choke, take them out, like rear naked choke, throw them on the ground, get them out of the stadium, arrest their ass. I mean, they were draped on Ronald Acuna Jr. for at least like 20 to 30 seconds before they got away.
Yeah, it was a really bizarre situation. It was utterly bizarre, and you're asking for real trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, you have no clue. I mean, A, people have been drinking. B, there's thousands of people. C, I get it. There's probably metal detectors at all Major League Baseball stadiums, but that doesn't stop everything. I mean, it doesn't stop everything from potentially happening. You're talking about potentially the National League's best player who's being like bear hugged by a random fan on field, and security cannot get this fan off of him.
2 fans.
And then a second fan comes in.
Dude, they're so lucky we didn't have some sort of Monica Seles
situation.
situation
The stabbing
go down
situation, that
where
was
someone
horrific.
gets stabbed because, like Jim said, security wasn't doing their job.
Well, and then the other day you had at the White Sox game, someone inadvertently fired a gun that they brought in.
Did you see how this lady brought in this gun?
I did, because I sent it to you.
I didn't.
So this woman brought in a gun to the White Sox game, and it inadvertently shot off grazing.
I saw that. How did she sneak it in?
Underneath her belly fat.
Is what they said. Yeah.
Because this woman was so large that she just pulled up her belly fat, put the gun in, put it over. Got through metal detectors.
Does that work though?
She must have had a lot of belly fat.
Yeah, you think it?
Just like I got a metal hip.
Yeah, I guess so. Ugh.
I have a
Interesting.
metal hip in my stomach.
Yeah, interesting couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do they need more secure? I mean, you can't let those things happen. The Acuna thing, you can't let happen. You got lucky. That's what happened.
And I think Snitker and a couple other people on the Braves were like livid.
Well, as they should be.
Like, how the hell did you not? First of all, how does it happen? Second of all, if a fan does get to a player, how does the security guard get there and not immediately take him out?
We focused all this time on putting up nets to protect the fans from foul balls, but we don't have the stadium set up enough to protect the players from the fans.
Not good. They got lucky. Next question.
All right, guys. Do you want to see the Padres put a waiver claim in for Lucas Giolito?
No.
Come on, we're only 7 games back.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. If he had additional years of control, I'd say, okay, yeah, maybe that makes sense.
What has Lucas Giolito done?
Well, in Anaheim, he hadn't pitched well, but with the White Sox, he pitched really well. And it doesn't matter. I mean, even if the guy had a 0 ERA, doesn't that go back to the point, well, the Padres aren't making the playoffs?
All right, his last couple years here, this year with the Angels, he sucked. He was 6-6 with a 3.79 with the White Sox. Last year, got a 4.9 ERA. Previous year at 3.5, 3.4. He's 29.
Well, but what's the purpose of any of this for the Padres in 2023?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. No matter what he was doing,
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. If they did, I'd be like, wow, you're taking on salary for a team that's 8 games under 500. It would be like, well, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to make any sense.
But there is the reason I think we asked this question is there was linkage to Lucas Giolito and the Padres.
But back then, I mean, they at least had a shot.
The rationale that could be used by AJ Preller. Well, we're without 2 of our main starters, so we need to have another arm in here. Yeah, we're still going for it.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what your goal is. Again, a month ago, I understand buying because you were still technically in it, even if a lot of people thought they weren't.
Yeah.
But a month later, they're no longer in it. So that's where it's shit. Like if you were in on Giolito a month ago, good for you. Angels were in on Giolito a month ago. Doesn't look like they are a month later.
Their season, no, because they released them.
Right, exactly. All right, Mark Redman's going to join us. He will do so coming up at 5:30. Also still ahead here, Your chance to win tickets to see 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater Thursday night. We'll do that this hour. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Keep listening for your chance to win. Mark Redman, by the way, 5:15, not 5:30. Mark Redman off the
5:15
practice field for San Diego State will join us coming up at 5:15. I was over on the Mesa earlier today. Brady Hoke speaking with the media.
Oh, thanks for the invite.
You could go. I feel like you do not get the emails. You
No.
definitely, you don't get the emails.
I swear I don't.
Is that right?
I don't get the emails.
You could if you wanted.
I technically could.
Yeah, you could just like email San Diego State and be like, "Can you include me on the media list?" But
True.
so Brady Hoke spoke with the media, talked about what he liked, what they still need to do. Idaho State, first year coaching. I mean, listen, San Diego State needs to win next Saturday or this Saturday to get to 2-0.
Mm-hmm. And they need to do it convincingly.
Yeah, and I think they will. They won 38-7 last year over Idaho State, and this is now a whole new coaching staff and like 70 new players. So let's just, you shouldn't assume, but let's assume. I know Brady Hoke's not assuming, but let's assume. Let's say they beat Idaho State. Mm-hmm. So now you're 2-0. You have UCLA at home in what is technically week 2. It's your third game. It's at 4:30 nationally televised on CBS. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty big game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's again, is it the game of the day? No. Texas is playing Alabama. I mean, again, nationally, this isn't the game of the day, but is it a big game locally? San Diego State hosting UCLA in week 2 if the Aztecs are 2-0 and UCLA is 1-0? Yeah, it would be. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think if that game, if you go into it and you're 2-0 and UCLA, obviously they only play a game before they take on San Diego State, they're probably going to win that game. Who they're playing?
Coastal Carolina at home.
Sneaky good matchup.
Yep.
I don't see why the buzz for that game locally shouldn't be pretty high. I don't see why that place, then by that place I mean Snapdragon Stadium, shouldn't have 30,000+ fans there. I don't see why, the timing of the game wouldn't matter. It doesn't.
Right.
Like,
no, it's a good time, isn't it?
It's a great time.
Yeah.
And you're taking on UCLA. I think UCLA is going to get a good amount of fans in there as well.
I would think so too.
You would like if the Aztecs fans filled that place up because the team would be at that moment. This would be the biggest game of the season, and it would be not a game. And all the complaining about, well, the opponents. Well, guess what? You're playing a good opponent, and you're playing a brand who everybody knows. So don't give me this crap about opponents. Don't give me this crap about timing and weather. Don't give me this crap about teams not good, blah, 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 blah. The offense, blah, 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 blah. If they go into that game 2-0, like we expect them to do, and if they look good against Idaho State, which we expect them to do, there's no reason why that place down in Mission Valley should not be full on that Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. UCLA is the best opponent to ever play at Snapdragon because you had Arizona last year. They went 5-7. I mean, UCLA is coming off a bowl game. UCLA in Southern California, Arizona isn't. UCLA with more of a pedigree, not an amazing one in football, but more of a pedigree certainly than the University of Arizona. So everything lines up, and that's why Ohio was so important.
Yep.
Because if you were 2-0, it's way different. I'm sorry, it's still UCLA, but if you're 1-1, it's not the same.
No.
And you still have like everything in front of you if you can get there 2-0. And honestly, it's probably, you got a chance, not just a competitive football game. You're thinking heading into that game, you're going to win the game. I mean, they very well could be an underdog. UCLA is a borderline top 25 team, but you're not going into that game being like, hey, hopefully we can hang. I mean, they played 4 years ago. They beat them.
Yeah.
And they beat them by 20 points or whatever at the Rose Bowl.
And how this season, to me, is viewed, it's in little chunks, right? The first 2 games of the year, I viewed as like must win. You got to win those 2 games. The next 2 games of the year against UCLA and Oregon State, I don't care how they do it. I'd prefer if you go 2-0 versus those teams. And if you split, I prefer if you win at home against UCLA, then lose at home versus UCLA. Now, a win on the road versus a potentially ranked Oregon State would be a very good win under your resume. But if you happen to split, I think I would prefer the win at home. And if you happen to lose on the road, it's against a ranked opponent, so be it. You got to split there whatever way possible. Then after that, you take on Boise State and Air Force before you get to your second bye. I think you view that as well as a at worst split. And then you go to the second bye 4-2.
Which would be honestly a big win, I think.
Yep.
Now, again, everyone's going to say, well, you want to be 5-1 or 6. Sure.
Of course you do. You want to be 6-0.
This schedule is unforgiving. And this schedule among Group of 5 programs is one of the more challenging.
Yeah.
With 2 Power 5 programs, and then your first 2 opponents in league are teams picked to finish first and second
Right.
in the Mountain West. If you are 4-2 at the end of September, which is what it would be, by the way, because you have 6 consecutive games without a bye, you are in position to get to a Mountain West championship game because you're 1-1, but against the top 2 teams.
Mhm.
And then your second half schedule doesn't look like your first half schedule. You go 5-1 or 6-0 down the stretch. Yeah, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves. And all of a sudden you are 9-3 potentially. So that's why it was important to beat Ohio.
Yep. And everyone, hey, well, this team didn't win last year, blah, 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 blah. Well, they have a chance this year. And the more time passes with them potentially getting, a bunch of wins under their belt, hopefully, I think the buzz should get bigger for this team. But it all starts with getting to UCLA 2-0. All right. And then that UCLA game, having a good showing and hopefully winning that game. I mean, if you start the season 3-0 with wins over Ohio and UCLA, and you go into the Oregon State game, there's gonna be a lot of confidence on that team.
Yes.
A lot of confidence.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, just the idea of getting to UCLA at 2-0 to me would speak like, we have everything we need in front of us, and we are fully confident they're going to go into that game as if they should win the game. There's no possible way they go into that like, house money, whatever.
No,
who cares?
no.
They wouldn't treat it like that.
Nope, they shouldn't.
UCLA just announced their starter for week 1 like a day ago. They have a 5-star kid in. Transfer from Washington. They have a 5-star kid that isn't starting that people thought would start. So yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. Saturday at 7:30, our pregame coverage will begin at 5:30. Again, Saturday 7:30. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com. San Diego State, Idaho State. If the Aztecs win it, and they'll be heavily favored, they will be 2-0 taking on UCLA. And honestly, at that point, I hope UCLA beats Coastal Carolina. Nobody wants to see UCLA lose to Coastal Carolina when they get here. I prefer that they're 1-0.
Absolutely.
Coming off a win. All right, we're going to get you ready for tonight. This is game 2 of a 3-game series. We'll do that on the other side. Padres and Cardinals. Still at Mark Redman off the practice field will join us at 5:15. Also, during Trainwreck Radio, 50-cent tickets. We'll give those away. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's Thursday night. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Also, in the 5 o'clock hour, your chance to win tickets to see Weezer, Gallagher Square, September 3rd. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. We'll get you ready for tonight for the Padres. Plus, Trainwreck Radio. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, we'll get you ready for tonight, Padres and Cardinals. Plus, how many games this year would you put on the Padres bullpen? I have an answer for you on the other side. That's next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Cardinals game 2 of their 3-game series, moments away from first pitch, 4:45 to be exact. Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres. Other news in baseball today, we talked about it moments ago. Lucas Giolito, 2 relievers, and Hunter Renfroe were just put on waivers by the LA Angels today. And NFL news of the day, Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Colts, was put on the PUP list instead of being traded, and that is because the Colts will not grant his request for that trade. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Offer ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions do apply. See associate or visit staples.com/printing for details.
All right, Trainwreck Radio in 15 minutes. We have tickets to give away to see 50 Cent. We will do that coming up in about 15 minutes, so don't go anywhere. So our buddy Rich McGuire, who is as loyal as they come, huge Padres fan, listener, viewer, was listening earlier.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure this is because he was, although he said it before the show even started, actually.
Oh, really?
He sends me a spreadsheet where he tracks the reason why the Padres lost every game that they've lost.
Oh my goodness.
So he tracks in his mind where it went wrong, right? Hey, Garcia came in and blew the lead or whatever went wrong. 0 for 12 with men in scoring position. You get the point.
That's some dedication.
So, John, this is what he says. He blamed the bullpen for 24 losses. Remember we had a caller yesterday? He's like, oh man, the bullpen has cost the team 30 or 40 games. I'm like, there's no way. Well, I mean, Rich McGuire, who has an Excel spreadsheet, says that the bullpen has cost the Padres 24 games. Now, here's my retort to that. No bullpen holds all leads. None. The best team in baseball this year has lost leads, right? So every team's going to blow leads. 24 does seem high for, 3/4 of a season.
That's a lot.
30.
How many blown saves does the team have overall?
They have a lot, but again, blown saves doesn't mean blown saves the way people think it means blown saves.
It's like you lost the lead in the 7th inning.
Exactly. Save situation was in the 7th or the 8th because you had a 3-run lead.
And you're not using Josh Hader there.
Exactly. So, they got some blown saves. I promise you that. They do. I'd have to look that up. But he says 24 times.
Wow.
The bullpen has been responsible for a Padres loss. Now, you could also argue, of course, well, even if the bullpen gave up the lead, couldn't the offense score again occasionally? Which is something they haven't done.
They don't do that late in games. They just don't.
Even yesterday's a perfect indication. It's like you win 4-1. That's the style in which they win.
They don't win 3-2.
Well, it's just always very clean. They get out to a little bit of a lead. They hold the lead.
They're front runners.
Right. But when they're down 4-1, they don't win the game. We've said that.
They're front runners.
And that's really the story of this team this year.
They don't fight back.
Along with the fact that according to Rich, and I do see it, and that's where I've been critical of Bob Melvin. It's like, hey, you've had leads that you haven't held. And again, it's chicken egg stuff. Is it Luis Garcia or is it Bob Melvin? Is it Robert Suarez or is it the coaching staff? Is it or Ruben Niebla, right? Yeah. But it's all areas. It's all areas. But yeah, they have been a front-running bunch, as evidenced once again last night in St. Louis.
So I don't have breaking news, but I have a developing story.
Okay, I'm excited. Oh, should I be?
Okay, I don't know if you should be, to be honest with you. Kevin Acee just posted this moments ago, saying that Darvish is traveling to Texas to be examined by an elbow specialist, the same elbow specialist that performed his Tommy John surgery in 2015.
Yeah, I'm not that excited.
It's not known yet whether Darvish will need a second Tommy John, but obviously going to the exact specialist who performed the Tommy John surgery on Darvish in 2015, not the greatest of looks.
No, I mean, not the, it's just not good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. We've talked about Ohtani potentially needing a second Tommy John. Guys off second Tommy Johns don't recover nearly as effectively as first.
And not 38-year-olds either.
Correct. Is that what he is now, 38?
He'll soon be 38. Yeah. So, look, Darvish has said that, as far as his elbow goes, that, quote, it's something that I've always needed to take care of going back to 2019 when I came back. It's just that in Milwaukee, it started to flare up a little bit. I'm not thinking I'm done for the year. My intention is to come back and pitch again this season.
No, you're done.
If you're seeing an elbow specialist and the guy that did your Tommy John, like, you're done, bro.
Yeah, he should be, because you got a lot of years on this deal, and you got to find a way to find the form you showed 2 years ago, because he didn't look like a guy that was deserving. And I hate to say it, but I think it's the truth. He didn't look like a guy this year that was deserving of what they gave him. Now, there's a price for frontline starting pitching. And honestly, the average annual valuation, the AAV, wasn't anything ridiculous, but you're paying someone into their 40s for, he's been relatively successful as a Padre, right? I mean, he hasn't been lights out as a Padre. He's had some very good stretches. He's had some good moments, but he's coming off what's going to be a down year, and he's only getting older. If you looked at the WAR projections from Dan Szymborski, they would not look good.
No.
Maybe in 2024, okay, I buy that, but 5, 6, 7, it's like you're paying this guy for 6, 7 years, and a couple of those years he's going to be in his 40s. And that's not just him. For whatever reason, that's been the strategy with this franchise.
So this whole thought process of, well, the 2024 Padres, they can't be much worse.
Right.
Yeah, they might be better than this year, but who says they're going to be like light years better?
Sure.
And when you go into a season with question mark after question mark after question mark with your starting pitching, coming off of a season where, frankly, your starting pitching did really well and your offense sucked, and you're going to a season with those same offensive question marks as far as depth goes, and
maybe
catching
we
position.
We don't really know. 2024?
2024.
I mean, we don't know. We have no clue what they do this offseason.
But to me, 2024 is now just up in the air, because you're going to lose Snell. Darvish, who knows how this elbow injury pans out. I don't know about Joe Musgrove coming off of an injury. If he's your main guy, like, you're going to want to kind of ease him into things, right? And then you're going to have to worry about the back end of your rotation. You have nobody in the minors that's ready to go, presumably. You have to worry about the back end of your rotation, or excuse me, the bullpen with the loss of Josh Hader. You got a guy who is going to presumably be your closer in waiting, using sticky stuff out there and can't strike anybody out. And you have to worry about now setup guys and middle relief. And dude, there are so many question marks going into next year. I can't say just that next year will be better because, of course, law of averages.
Right. But we also should at least allow the offseason to play out. And does the Darvish thing really change your opinion? You would have said that anyway coming off this year, right? Like, does the Darvish thing put it over the top that you don't have confidence in 2024? I think most Padres fans off 2023 don't have confidence in 2024 based on what they've seen.
Yeah. But if you told me Darvish and Musgrove were going into a season fully healthy, I would feel okay. I wouldn't feel great.
Right.
I'd feel okay. It's like, okay, you got two guys, top of your rotation, 30 plus starts. Now, how are we going to fill the back end?
Yeah, but true. But we'll see on Darvish and Musgrove.
We'll see.
My point.
We'll see. I'm not going full doomsday where it's like, oh, Tommy John, he's done.
Yeah.
But hey, dude, this is like a little bit of cause for concern.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And it's definitely a developing story where, if either of these dudes
aren't available
Musgrove
to start 2024,
then you got like major problems.
Don't get me wrong. There are going to be question marks heading into 2024, as there probably were, to be honest, heading into 2023. I'm just going to be interested to see what they do this offseason. It's like there's a whole offseason that we have no clue what transpires. Like literally no clue. Is it the same GM? Is it the same manager? Who on this team returns, who doesn't? We think the core remains because it's the core that's tied up. But I even think, and I've said, listen, I think they'll be better in 2024 because I just think they'll be better in 2024. It's going to be hard to be worse, is my guess. But with all that being said, I don't just think they'll be better in 2024 because they're not going to make changes. There's going to have to be a level of change coming to this team, obviously.
Yeah.
And they're not going to just say, oh, yeah, well, there is no such thing as fully running it back.
Let's run it back.
There's no such thing. I mean, yeah, it's not going to happen anyway.
Run it back. We'll just add a couple more, like bench pieces, and
we'll just sign Garrett Cooper.
Yeah, just add like a couple relievers, and you're good to go. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's as simple as that.
Run it back.
I guess if you look back at some of these deals, like 6 years for Darvish, 5 years for Suarez, 11 years, like the years are. Did you need to? Did you have to have a 6th year? Did you have to have a 5th year? Did you have to have an 11th year?
Frankly, out of the maybe 6 large contracts they've given out in the last 2 years, the only contract I look at as viewed to me as like that's smart money spent is the Joe Musgrove contract.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully he's healthy, right? Hopefully this shoulder thing doesn't turn out to be anything bad. I mean, he was posted on his Instagram the other day, like back at it. He's throwing the outfield in Milwaukee. I wanted to respond like, how about you not be back at it?
Right.
Like maybe rest and like sit in a hyperbolic chamber for 2 months. I don't know. But every one of these contracts is like iffy. And at this point in time, there's something wrong with each one of them.
Man, you look around baseball, big contracts, like they are really risky. Like they sound good at the time. They really do. They're sexy and they're flashy. And then you live through them. It's like, and if you're not winning World Series, like, man, there's a lot of money not to be winning. Forget about a World Series, not to be winning in general. All right, call right now if you want those 50-cent tickets. We're going to play Trainwreck Radio on the other side. First 2 callers are going to be our contestants. The number to call is 844-570-1360. We have 2 free tickets to see 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater this Thursday, like 48 hours from now. 844-570-1360. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Call right now if you want those 2 free tickets. We'll play trivia. First 2 callers will be our contestants. Again, 50-cent tickets. Call right now if you want them. 844-570-1360. That's next. All right, caller 2 has dropped off. Who wants to play for 50-cent tickets right now? Call 844-570-1360. Trainwreck Radio, that's trivia. If you call right now, you can play to win 50-cent tickets for Thursday night at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. 2 free tickets. Call right now, 844-570-1360. That's 844-570-1360. Call right now. All right, Mark Redman, Aztec tight end. He will join us coming up at 5:15. We have Jim's back page still ahead. Again, Padres and Cardinals will play game 2 here today. Padres back home Thursday. We are at Blind Burrow. We're downtown Friday. I think they have just 2 Friday home games remaining this year.
You're at Blind Burrow.
Oh, that's right. You're gone for like a week.
Yeah. Not a week. I'm gone for 3 shows.
But a week, right?
No, because I will leave Thursday night.
And come back when?
Wednesday night. But I will be still doing the show on Thursday.
You're doing the show Thursday. You're gone from the Friday show. Then it's Labor Day.
Correct.
You're gone from the Tuesday show. You're gone from the Wednesday show.
You'll be gone a business week.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Basically. Okay. All right. Where are you going? Eagles final preseason or what?
Yeah, I'm going to Eagles home opener, actually.
Eagles opener, maybe catch the Phillies a couple times.
Yeah, Phillies. Well,
Sixers preseason.
Phillies will actually be in San Diego taking on the Padres that week.
Oh,
I know.
Darn you guys missed the opportunity to see your team.
I missed it.
What are you doing, by the way? Just seeing her family?
So Erin's family is selling her childhood house.
Yeah.
And we're going back to not only, be there before they sell the house, but
dig up the bodies in the backyard for someone else moves in.
Exactly.
Been there.
But we're also having a engagement party for all of her family that's back east that has not been able to see us since we got engaged.
Okay, that's gonna be very nice.
Yeah.
Where's that?
At their house.
At their house that they're selling.
That they're selling. Yeah, it's like a going away party.
I like it.
Yep.
All right. Mark Redman, Aztec tight end at 5:15 right now. Let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have David and Matt. David, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Definitely John.
Definitely.
Definitely John.
Why'd you say it like that, David?
I listen to the show, man. I got to go with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine, Matt. That's fine, David. Matt, you get me. All right.
Okay, that's fine.
That's fine. It's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Brent. What's today's question of the day?
All right, guys, today's question. I want you to name the top 10 players with the most career hits in Major League Baseball history. So I want top 10 hit leaders in baseball history.
All right. I like the question.
Other than Ha-Seong Kim.
Correct. Matt, you were up first. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
All right, let's go with Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn. I don't know about top 10. No, he's got 3,000.
Darn it.
Good guess.
Good guess.
Probably top 30.
Yeah. David, you're up next. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
I'm going Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb should be on this list. And
It's on the list. Matt, you're up next, buddy. What's your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
How about A-Rod?
A-Rod.
I don't know about that one.
David, you could walk off here.
David, with the potential to walk it off. What is your not final guess, but your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it too.
Pete Rose has to be on there.
For the win.
For the win, Pete
Hit
Rose.
King. Just like that. Wow.
Boom. No mercy. Sorry,
that was
Matt.
really quick and easy.
Sorry, Matt.
Decisive.
Very decisive.
So I listen, Tony Gwynn, I like it.
He's 22nd.
22nd, I said top 30. And then A-Rod, listen, great career if you take the steroids out, but that's a lot of
he
hits
didn't have
for a
3,000,
power
right?
hitter. Yeah.
You want to guess?
What? Who's in this top
No,
10?
what number A-Rod is?
100.
69th.
23.
Wow.
So he does have. How many hits does he have?
Does he have 30,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 3,000.
Absolutely.
Wow,
Okay.
3,115.
Okay.
He's only like 30 behind Gwynn.
Wow.
How about Hank Aaron?
That's a good one.
Yep, he's 3.
What about Willie?
What about
Willie May?
No Willie.
what about Wade Boggs?
Wade Boggs,
Willie's
yeah.
13th.
Boggs?
No Boggs in the top 10.
All right, who's in the
Who's
top
on
10?
the list?
Yeah.
There's gonna be guys from like 18.
Boggs is 31st.
There's gonna be guys from like 1899.
All right.
Right.
Pete Rose is number 1. Ty Cobb is 2. Henry Aaron's 3. Stan Musial.
That's a good one.
Cardinals.
Stan
He's
Musial.
4. Tris Speaker is
Yeah.
5.
So now you're going back 100 years.
Yeah.
Jeets, Derek Jeter.
Yep.
He's number 6. Cap Anson is
Okay, you're going back
7.
100 years.
Honus
great.
Wagner, of
100
course.
years.
Yep, he's 8, and then Carl Yastrzemski is 9, and Pujols is 10.
Okay.
Something just like broke.
What happened?
It's not broken, but there's like
John broke.
I didn't. No. It's just like swinging back and forth. I may have, but I don't use it, so I'm not concerned at all. I don't know what it. I really don't. It's just like swinging cords are underneath the desk right now. Mark Redman, Aztec tight end, he will join us coming up at 5:15. Also, by the way, congratulations, because David, you picked the right partner, even though I didn't do anything. You have won a pair of tickets to see 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's this Thursday night. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Keep listening this week for your chance to win. Next hour, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give away tickets to see Weezer, Gallagher Square, September 3rd. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Mark Redman of the Aztecs off the practice field. He'll join us in about 20 minutes. It'll be hour 3 of John and Jim, and it comes your way next. All right, with the red and black back on the gridiron, Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer, they're offering 20% off any order of $25 or more through September 3rd. You heard me right. Mention football at checkout, whether you're tailgating at Snapdragon, at home, or in your dorm. Windmill Farms has you covered for all of your game day needs, featuring organic, farm-fresh produce and meats, an amazing craft beer selection, plus a full deli with award-winning sandwiches. Remember to mention football. You'll get 20% off your entire cart. Again, mention football now through September 3rd at Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer. 20% off any order of $25 or more. WindmillFarmsMarket.com.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Cardinals, game 2 of their series underway. Padres have an early 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first inning there. Other news around baseball, the Angels today released Lucas Giolito, or excuse me, they put them on waivers. Lucas Giolito, 2 relievers, and Hunter Renfroe. NFL news of the day, Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Colts, was placed on the PUP list, meaning he will miss the first 4 games of the season. All this coming after he requested a trade from the Colts. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now, save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Offer ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions do apply. Visit staples.com/printing for details.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's the final hour of John and Jim. Mark Redman, San Diego State, outstanding tight end, senior tight end, 2 touchdowns Saturday. He will join us coming up in about 15 minutes. And regarding your NFL news, the NFL starts next week.
That's
on
your news.
Thursday. There is your news. They will play a regular season game next Thursday. The Lions and the Chiefs. That is 9 days away. That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's right?
It is, yes. It will be to be here before we know it.
So that's in 9 days. Week 1 of the college football season, I'm talking full slate, is Saturday, really starting Thursday, to be honest with you. And then next Thursday, NFL, next weekend, full slate, week 1 in the National Football League. And it's, typically it's the time of year you're thinking, you got the NFL, you have college, you have baseball playoffs. And we have said this a lot. You have specifically, wouldn't it be Padres-esque to make your run when there's nothing to run towards, right? If they win their 4 in a row the day they've been eliminated, or they win 4 in a row and they're 10 out or whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's the one thing the Padres haven't done. They haven't shown us something when eliminated, which is coming. Like that is absolutely coming. They're going to play better in September with nothing on the line.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. They'll get eliminated, and that's when they start, ripping off like 4 games in a row win streak, 5 games in a row, 6 games in a row. Like it's just, it's coming, and it might be before they get officially eliminated, but in the end, it will not really matter at all. These games are pretty much meaningless to this point, and you are just playing out the schedule. And I think really the only big thing left in the year is Blake Snell going to win the Cy Young or not?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just pulled up. Hold on. I just looked like, are the Padres going to make the postseason on Fangraphs because it's fun to look at? And maybe I pulled up 2022. It says they have 100%.
Is it still fun to look at?
Yeah,
they're at 100%.
Is it more
it's at
depressing
100%.
now?
It's at 100%.
Yeah, in the wrong direction.
Right. So we know what it is. There's it's over is what it is.
Oh, I love that. It's just the homerism. I love it.
Oh, I missed it.
Well, on television, they're putting up around Major League Baseball, and they're saying like, "Oh, Jose Altuve becomes the 9th Astro hit for a cycle."
Right.
Julio Rodriguez homered for his 3rd straight game. He's got a 13-game winning streak. And oh, by the way, Zach Gallen gave up 6 runs last night, meaning that hurts his Cy Young chances for him. And Blake Snell. Look at Blake Snell, everybody. Yeah. Cy Young.
Well, I'm okay. I mean, Blake Snell's earned it. I don't think it's some spin or PR campaign for Blake Snell. I think if he wins it, he's earned it. If he does not get it too, because he's on a bad team and there's other candidates in there.
Yeah.
But I don't think he needs a spin. I don't think he needs lots of emails on his behalf as to what he's done. I think he's put together a really good year.
He has. He put a really good year together. He's putting a really good year together. He's definitely in contention for Cy Young. Someone would say he's the front runner. I would tend to agree. And he's going to get paid a boatload of money in the offseason.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's really amazing because we saw Snell at times during his time as a Padre, like at his worst. Like 2021, he wasn't good.
No, he was
and then
really
he got
bad.
shut down. And last year he was good. He was good. I don't think he was great.
Second half.
Second half, he leads baseball with lowest ERA, 2.6. He also happens to lead baseball in walks. That's crazy.
Imagine if he didn't get off to a slow start. Like, imagine if he just pitched average.
Yep.
His ERA would be closer to 2 right now.
Listen to this. He leads baseball in walks. He leads baseball in wild pitches. But he's allowing, I think, the fewest hits per 9 right now and has the lowest ERA. This type of year, this is what we said earlier, and this is why we wouldn't pay him. You can't replicate this thing. You can't lead baseball in walks and have the lowest ERA.
And frankly, while he might win the Cy Young, I'm just being 100% honest here. That year, in most years, is not Cy Young worthy.
Yeah, maybe not, right? Yeah, it's not a sub 2.
It's not a 2.2 ERA with a whip like close to lower than 1.
Right.
Like, that is a true Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's an interesting year. We say the names, it's nothing crazy.
There's nobody in the National League. Who's the pitcher for the Cubs, Brent Steele?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he is the only guy you look at of like across the board, like pretty solid numbers across the board.
He pitches tonight.
I mean,
Brewers.
I know the wins in baseball isn't a stat that's being used a lot anymore at all. But if you look at the rest of his numbers, I mean, he's having a really good year. He is definitely getting Cy Young contention as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, if you're Snell and if you're a Padres fan,
root for something.
Go win it. And the fact that he's going to get paid elsewhere, I think at the end of the day is fine. It's not like if he doesn't win it, there's a discernible difference. It's not like this guy posted 2.6 and finishes second. All of a sudden, you're like, bargain.
Well, this goes back to the point of spending smart money with the Padres. And the smart thing to do here is realize that, Blake Snell is not going to replicate this season for the next 4 years. He just won't do it.
Right.
He's not that guy. And on the contract that he was on when he got traded here, it was viewed as a really good contract, $16-17 million a year. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
For a left-hander when he has command, has some of the best stuff in baseball. And he has shown that for about 75% of this season, proving he's one of the best, if not the best left-handers in the game. With that said, no chance in hell am I trying to extend it. You cut your ties. And it's kind of like, going back to, we talked about Darvish today, how he is going to see a elbow specialist now, the same doctor that performed his Tommy John surgery in 2015. His contract was up after this year if they didn't give him a 6-year contract extension. You know how much easier it would have been from just a baseball standpoint. I'm not from a personal standpoint. It sucks for Darvish. I'm not wishing this on anybody. But from just a baseball operation standpoint, be like, wow, we played that how it should have been played. And instead of, giving a 37-year-old a 6-year contract for $100+ million, we let it go and we let it ride, and we came out looking good.
And especially not to say that you would have kept Snell, because you could still argue the merits of that. But you could say, hold on, there's a 30-year-old Blake Snell and a 37-year-old Darvish.
Right.
Whose 5-year future are you betting on? Even if you're anti-Snell, I think you got a better chance of having ages 31 through 35 seasons be good for Snell than ages 38 through 42 season for Darvish. And this is kind of the second time, to your point, and it's a very good one, that maybe they bet on the wrong hand. Cronenworth, not Kim. Darvish, not Snell. And again, maybe the Snell thing, maybe you're not going there anyway. And I understand that. And I'm not saying Snell gets the same money as Darvish. Snell would have been more than Darvish off this year if you let this thing play
maybe less
out.
years, more AAV for sure.
Yeah, exactly. 5/125, but it's comparable.
Maybe
even
more.
5/140. I mean, it's comparable.
Maybe I still think the bar for Snell is the Carlos Rodon deal,
which was, what did we say, 180 or something?
160, I want to say.
It was 8 years over 20 per year, right? Or 7 years over 20 per year?
Yeah, he's making, I think, close to 24 million per year.
No thanks. Like, it's time to start being smart, probably, with the money.
Well, that's what we've said, and Preller does a horrible job of doing that.
But here's the problem. Here's the one.
Give it to me.
Here's the problem. That, man, riding this year out with Snell, and you're like, great. Unfortunately, the team hasn't been good. Like, that's to get this year from Blake Snell.
And not even use it.
Right. That's crazy. You're going to have potentially the Cy Young Award winner and be a September of just meaningless baseball. How is that even possible?
Right. Now, you did get this version of Blake Snell last year heading into the postseason.
Yeah. He was good.
He was very good down the stretch. I would argue he was average in the postseason.
Okay,
He was okay in the postseason. He blew up in New York. The Dodgers series was okay. It was typical Blake Snell outing, 5 innings, couple runs, right? Against the Dodgers.
Yeah, I don't fully remember, but yeah, I think that's right.
Philly, he got dinked and dunked to death.
They actually won that game.
Yeah, because the offense came through, but and it wasn't all his fault, the runs he gave up. I remember that game. I was there. But it wasn't like dominant Blake Snell, like 7 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, right? 10 strikeouts. So yeah, you did get a version of this Blake Snell when you needed it the most. It just, again, like you said, having this version for back-to-back years and you only get to utilize it 1 year, that sucks.
It's all gone haywire. You just don't trade for Juan Soto and lose that trade. Like in the history of it, you don't trade for a Hall of Famer at 24 and come up on the wrong side of it. And they did.
And it's not that they would lose, that you're saying that they lose the trade because of the players that are with the Nationals right now.
It's just saying based on the way they played.
It's because of how you traded away all those pieces. It's like I'm not saying Lucas Giolito's Juan Soto, but look at what the Angels just did. They traded a top prospect, a couple top prospects, I think, for Lucas Giolito. And who knows if those players turn out to be anything, but you failed because you didn't win with that trade piece on your team. The Juan Soto thing last year worked out for you. You got to the NLCS. He didn't play great. This year, he hasn't played amazing. He's played really good at times, but it's not going to pay off because you're not making the postseason.
The only flexibility they have with the Darvishes, Musgroves, Tatises, Machados, Bogarts, Sotos, Cronenworths, Suarez's is Soto. The only player that with a snap of the fingers could be dealt is Juan Soto, and that doesn't make it easy or good. I don't think that makes it all of a sudden, hey, you move Juan Soto, now we're better. I mean, that's kind of ridiculousness, but that's the one player that gives them a little bit of flexibility with their future, but I don't know how they want to play that card or if they're going to play that. It's easy to say, and I'm on board with saying this, I want Juan Soto here in 2024 because I got to think I'm going to have a better 2024 from AJ Preller and Peter Seidler, but maybe it's not that simple, and there's reasons to start thinking about what Juan Soto can return to you and cutting some losses, but I don't know how you're going to be able to spin that. Getting rid of Juan Soto.
We're going to fire the manager, get rid of Juan Soto, not re-sign Snell or Hader.
And keep all the other pieces.
And we're going to be better the next year. And oh, by the way, Darvish is, seeing elbow specialist, and Joe Musgrove has shoulder problems. Yay.
Mark Redman will join us at 5:30, by the way. So back to where we were. Mark Redman
back
off
to
the
your regularly scheduled program.
Will join us at 5:30. I know this about the offseason. It'll be interesting. They've never really had a boring one. I thought coming out of the strike was relatively ho-hum. Because they were up against that payroll threshold.
Yeah.
But they've made splashes in off seasons, trade deadlines. I'd be surprised if there's just some quiet ho-hum, run of the mill, no biggie. We got Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha back, and we'll see in 2024.
Yeah, everything's fine.
I don't know what they're going to do, but
no one knows.
But I just think that the change is coming.
Change is definitely coming. Change is definitely coming, unless they rip off 30 in a row. They only have, no, they do have 30 left, right?
Yeah. So, if they rip off 30 in a row, maybe that'll change the conversation. All right. So Mark Redman will join us coming up at 5:30. We mentioned the fact that we are a week away from the NFL. Okay. So we have that coming up. We've touched on this. We touched on the Giolito thing earlier. What happened today with the Angels, the fact that they essentially waived 6 players? It is. Yeah. 6 players on their active roster have been waived. This is less than a month after, quote unquote, going for it. They've waived 6 players, including Lucas Giolito, who they traded a top prospect for. We said earlier it could always be worse. I think the Angels are a good place to start with that. Now, are the Padres involved in any of these players? Probably not. But does this potentially change a postseason race? Like, someone's going to land Lucas Giolito for literally nothing off waivers, potentially, for the stretch run.
If he pitches like he did with the Angels, it's not going to change anything.
True.
He's a bad pitcher.
Well, he wasn't a bad pitcher when they traded for him.
Correct.
Right.
He was an average pitcher. His ERA was like in the 4s. Wasn't great. Hunter Renfroe, another guy that's on the market now. I saw Darnay tweet out that because everyone loves to bring back former Padres for some reason in this
Right.
town. He had a 490 OPS in August, so
Bring him here.
probably fit in really well.
Yeah. It's interesting that a team would even consider this tactic. To me, it's kind of anti-professional to cut bait in season with
Yeah.
players on your active roster to get under a payroll threshold. And 3 weeks ago, you quote unquote went for it and didn't move Otani. You think it's bad not to move Hader and Snell? You didn't move
Oh,
Shohei Otani, and since then he's had an elbow injury,
yeah, and he's not pitching again for
and,
another year.
and you've gotten rid of 6 players on your active roster.
Disaster in Anaheim, like beyond disaster. All Padres fans, you think that this year for the Padres has been a disaster while it has been.
Right.
The Angels said, "Hold my beer."
It's amazing how many bad seasons there have been in baseball, considering how many teams are going to make the postseason. 40% of teams, which means 50 or 60% of teams are alive in September, probably more than that. There's 5 or 6 teams right now in the National League within like 2 games of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know what the American League looks like, to be honest. There's 2 or 3 others competing, I think.
You got the Mariners who have vaulted themselves back into like division contention in the AL West, which is, by the way, good for them. You also have Toronto and I guess Boston, but Boston's 5.5 out, man.
Right. So, okay, my
So
point
you got
though,
one team in the American League, that's Toronto, who's 2.5 back of Houston, and Texas, who are both tied. Seattle's now leading that division. And then, in the National League, you got the Giants, Cincinnati, Miami, Arizona, Chicago, all within like 2 games of each other.
so you got, I mean, there's 16, 17, 18 teams still alive for a playoff spot, and the Padres aren't one of them. But again, Anaheim has gone sideways. Mets, at least the Mets admitted. I guess the Angels are admitting it. Maybe the one team that hasn't really fully come to terms with it has been the Padres. And maybe now they are, like when Joe Musgrove said yesterday to the media, we're doomed.
Yeah.
We mentioned that earlier. When, Darvish goes on the IL, and probably because of an elbow issue, by
But
the
isn't
way.
that like that's the most frustrating part is like you just said, the Padres are the only team that has not come to a realization of what this season is for them. They're the only team. The Mets, they realized it at the trade deadline. Yeah, it's done, right? The Angels just realized it. Yeah, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees, they're done. They realized it. The Padres are the only team like clinging to this hope, like something could happen. Like, give me a break.
I wonder if they really, and this goes back to something we've talked about the last week or two, is like, do they cling to the hope, or are they just kind of outwardly hopeful, as in to not rock the boat? Because if you do something desperate like the Angels, all attention's on you. How could you do this? You're turning your back on us. We'll turn our back on you. How could you sell at the deadline if we've supported you? How could you do that? Because they have to publicly display as if they're still vested in the season.
The reason why you do that is because it's a smart baseball decision. They have done so many baseball decisions that are based off of hope. That's hope we get back in it, right? I hope this guy performs well. Hey, $80 million for Jake Cronenworth. He had a really good, remember that moment last year? That was a great moment.
Right, against the Dodgers.
When instead of looking at, Jake Cronenworth, he has been on a decline every single year he's been in the big leagues, but let's give him $80 million because he had a cool moment for this last year.
It was a great moment. All right,
Hey,
Mark Redman at
Darvish,
5:30.
Hey, we need a pitcher. Let's give him 6 years.
Again, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback the Padres. It's literally the easiest thing in the world.
And I love doing it.
You really do. All right, Trey Lance is now Cowboy. He is referring to it as a breath of fresh air.
Greatest moment of his life.
After leaving the Niners. He said he had a big smile on his face. He's very excited to be here. The question is, is he ever going to be on the field for Dallas? Dak Prescott's under contract for the next 3 seasons
at $40 million.
So that could be problematic. Cooper Rush is there, is he not?
Cooper Rush is there, and he won them games last year when Dak was injured.
So what is this move really about from Dallas's perspective? Just whatever, flyer, 4th round pick, who cares?
From the Dallas perspective,
I get it for the Niners' perspective, obviously. He didn't even win the second. He's not even the backup.
No. And I mean, from the Niners, you're thinking to yourself, wow, we got a 4th rounder for this guy. And we're putting him in. We're not only putting him in a situation that's exactly like ours.
Right.
Like, we already think he's not going to be a guy that's going to turn out to be the superstar, because if we did, then there's no way we're trading him to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no chance. But Dallas ponied up the highest draft pick out there for him, which I'm kind of shocked they got a 4th rounder for him. I was expecting 5th or 6th, but a 4th round pick for Trey, going to the exact same position as he is in with the 49ers, burying him on that depth chart. He's not getting past Cooper Rush, and he's not getting past Dak.
So what is it, like a red shirt job? Like you're just going to learn on the job for 2 or 3 years?
I wonder if they'll try and convert him to a different position.
No, there's no chance.
It's what
he's young enough.
Yeah, I mean, just athlete position?
Athlete.
You know what I mean? Because
he's 6'4", so if he could catch, he'd be tall enough. He could they could try him at wide receiver, try him someplace else. What would it hurt? He's either going to sit on the bench and do nothing, or see if he can run a route and find a use for him.
But then maybe why give up the pick?
But here's the thing too: he's not even like that fast. He's a guy that I think the Niners expected to be not like Lamar Jackson fast, but like, hey, get to the corner and go upfield. Mm-hmm. He never did that with the Niners. I think they viewed him as more of that's why they ran through the tackles all the time. They never ran him on the outside because he wasn't fast enough to get past the linebackers. So I think that the scouting department for the Niners, and it was a weird year for COVID, they just completely whiffed. Like they did not see that this guy came in and was like, oh, this is a problem.
I mean, this is one of the biggest misses in NFL history. To everyone's point, it's amazing they can survive that.
I know.
I mean, that's the amazing thing. That is a credit to the Niners organization to have a swing and a miss and still be on your feet.
And they got lucky, like you said, but also Trey just had some horrible luck. Like, I think if Trey does not break his finger in the preseason game in his first year and then break his ankle in like game 2 of his second year.
Sure.
I don't even know if Brock Purdy's on the field.
It's funny how things work. And injuries are a huge part of it. Situation, circumstance.
Like Brock Purdy might not even be with the 49ers if Trey Lance doesn't break his ankle.
Right.
Because the whole thing is they gave Trey the keys to the car in year number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the NFL. So there's no like, hey, the spot's waiting for you when you get back. There's none of that. If a guy comes in and performs in that position, that's his job now.
I just wonder, like, does he get another shot, or is this like Tim Tebow? It's not even Tim Tebow. I mean, Tebow was playing in postseasons.
I honestly think that he won't get another shot until he's on his at least 3rd team.
Right. So he needs another stop before he gets a chance. I could see that.
It's not happening in Dallas.
No, it's not. And if it does, he's gonna be old. It's gonna be like 6 years from now.
Yeah, like 30 years old.
He's gonna be 30-year-old. Yeah, exactly. 30-year-old. All right. On the other side, Mark Redman off the practice field. San Diego State, Idaho State, Saturday at 7:30. Pregame coverage at 5:30. At 2 touchdown grabs this past weekend for the Aztecs in a victory over Ohio. Mark Redman will join us next. All right, Mark Redman, San Diego State senior tight end, 2 touchdowns this past weekend. He'll join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Cardinals game 2 of their 3-game series. Padres have a 1-0 lead heading to the bottom of the second inning there. And NFL news of the day, Colts running back Jonathan Taylor was placed on the PUP list. This is all after he requested a trade from the team. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Offer ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions do apply. Visit staples.com/printing for details.
All right, Mark Redman's going to join us in a moment. The product of Corona Del Mar, went to Washington, transferred back home, so to speak, playing at San Diego State in his second season. And what a start in Ryan Lindley's offense.
I tell you what, he is going to be such a weapon for this team in the red zone, and such a, not safety blanket, but just like a calming presence out there, I think, for Jalen. Because there were times in the second half, I tweeted, I'm like, Redman's cooking right now. It was like 3 straight passes towards his way, and Jalen made some nice throws.
Yep.
I think it was a crossing route, and Jalen had some pressure in his face, and he threw it with anticipation and timing in stride. I guarantee you on the film, Lindley's looking at that play and circling that play as like, yeah, we need to hit this a lot.
You know, I wish I had it in front of me. I think this is right. It could be wrong. I want to say from the final drive of the first half through the end of the game, Maiden was 15 for his last 17. So he got cooking.
Now,
Maiden did.
What was his overall? I think it was like
17 to 27. So I think it's right because he started something like 2 of 7 or right.
It is not, did not start out good.
Yeah, and he only finished with 10 incompletions and he had like 6 right away or whatever the math was. He was 15 for his last 17 or 17 for his last 19. I mean, he really got going. Final drive of the first half, the scoring drive there in the third quarter for a touchdown, and we're going to catch up right now. We're in a moment here with Mark Redman, so we'll talk to him about Jalen. But it was good to see. Remember the bold predictions? We said, hey, this guy's going to catch a lot of balls, and he did with the 2 touchdowns again for the Aztecs over Ohio, a game that the Aztecs really needed to win. They did win it, and the Aztecs, of course, on this Tuesday, well, they're getting ready for another opponent. They're going to take on Idaho State on Saturday at 7:30. They're just getting off the practice field. In fact, Okay, he'll be with us in a minute. They're getting off the practice field. Idaho State this Saturday. Who knows what to expect? They beat Idaho State last year, 38-7. It's a new coaching staff. And then, by the way, and we'll ask him about this, in week 2, which is game 3, he's taking on his former high school quarterback, Ethan Garbers, who played with him at Washington.
Oh, wow.
And he's now starting at UCLA. It's a small world sometimes.
Everything kind of just intersects with each other.
Yeah, it's the right time to be here. A lot of tight ends out of San Diego State have had success in the National Football League.
They have, yeah. Bellinger with the Giants.
Exactly. And we've seen, obviously, the late Gavin Escobar, who's one of these guys
Correct,
that had 2 or more touchdown receptions in a game. There's only been like 2 or 3 guys in the last 25 years with 2 touchdown receptions out of the tight end position at San Diego State in the game, and one of those is Mark Redman.
Yeah, there were times, his 2 touchdown catches, he did a great job of finding, like, the open space.
Yeah.
His first touchdown catch at the end of the half.
Just kind of found space.
And Jalen went through his progressions. I don't think that was his first read, by the way.
No, it wasn't. That was talked about today.
Yeah.
He started with Balin Brooks to his right.
Yes.
Came across the field.
And Redman kind of just plotted down in the middle of the field in space, and Jalen threw a dart to him in the end zone. By the way, that play, that call by Brady, I mean, obviously, it was a 7-point game. That won them the game.
I agree.
That won them the game, going for it there with 6 seconds left instead of settling for the field goal. That play, coupled with Ohio not going for it on 4th and 1 from their own, from the
4th and goal
from the 1
yeah.
or 2 early in the game. Those 2 plays swung it the Aztecs way.
100%. And you got to imagine in the locker room after scoring on the final play of the first half.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big deal.
Because Ohio was getting the ball to start the second half.
Right.
And
they actually were driving. You're thinking, man, you might go down 6-10 points here, and they get the ball. Yeah. You get a pick, you score, and change the entire game.
Did the Aztecs? I know this whole like deserve to win the game thing. Like Ohio could have scored a lot of points if they made the right plays, but the Aztecs defense did stop them on crucial downs, and they took advantage of timing of the game with the last play of the first half, scoring a touchdown, leaving no time on the clock, and the turnovers and getting touchdowns when you needed it. The second touchdown thrown by Malin to Redman, I was in the press box overlooking in the end zone, and he did a great job of finding space in the back of the end zone, and Jalen threw it over 3 linebackers, which was a good throw. And that's what Redman's going to be for this team, is that safety blanket in the end zone, finding the open space. And if Jalen can, see him, it's going to result in a lot of touchdowns this year, you feel like.
All right, we're talking San Diego State, Aztecs over Ohio. Mark Redman, huge game. 2 touchdowns, 5 catches, 62 yards. He joins us right now, literally right off the practice field. John and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760, home of the Aztecs. Mark, we really do appreciate it. We were talking about the momentum swing on the final play of the first half when you scored your first touchdown. Did it feel like that to you and your teammates heading into the locker room with the touchdown on that final play, like the game had kind of shifted right there?
Yeah, absolutely. But first off, thanks for having me on, guys. It's just a pleasure every time. But definitely, you could definitely feel it coming off after that PAT afterwards, and everyone's all hyped up for. I think we might have had a kickoff. I don't know for sure, but we were heading back in that locker room, and there was definitely a shift of energy. And once we got in there, everyone started talking, and we started communicating on what we need to work on better. And we made those halftime adjustments and came out, I think, a little bit better. It was a little bit of stalling as well, but we were able to end up get the job done.
Yeah, and no one, I think, expected, like, with so many new pieces on offense and Coach Lindley coming in first year, that right away it was going to be like, oh, they're going to score 40 points a game. It's going to take a little bit of time, but do you feel like going up tempo towards the end of the first half is something that might benefit this offense to get going early on in the season, to be up tempo a little more?
I think so. It's something we work on every day in practice. We just finished up doing a 2-minute drill, and that's something that we'll work on every day. And we just try to, when we get the tempo going, whatever it is, I think we're able to roll in and out of it pretty well. So we're proud with that. And that's what I got to say on that.
Aztec senior tight end Mark Redman with us right now on John and Jim. So, Mark, as you know, in college football, it's not like there's a guarantee that with 6 seconds left in a half and you're at like the 10 or 11 yard line. It's not like a guarantee you're even going to leave your offense on the field. Like, there's a lot of coaches, I think, in that spot that are quote unquote settling for a field goal. What does it mean to you and your teammates, specifically on offense, when You have that opportunity. Later in the game, you had a fourth down opportunity that you cashed in on. There was another fourth down opportunity with about a minute to play where Brady left the offense on the field. You got to love that as a player, that type of aggressiveness, right?
Absolutely, and we love Coach O supporting us and backing us on that. Obviously, we went over and watched the tape. I think we were 30% on third downs and 1 for 2 on fourth downs. So that's a huge margin of emphasis that we're going to work on this week, and hopefully just be able to up those numbers both on fourth down, be 100%, and on those third downs, shoot for the 40 to 50% range. And if we can do that, then I think we should be a pretty good offense.
Mark, you and Jalen's chemistry on the field in the red zone, it feels like, you can find the open space, and Jalen hit you both times for your 2 touchdown catches. How is your chemistry with Jalen progressing over camp? And then obviously we saw it in the first game this year in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, I'll always say it when me and Moose's relationship is brought up. I mean, starting back last year on defense, going against each other, and then coming through into just last season, switching over, and everything up to this point. I mean, we just kind of have a connection now where he kind of knows what I'm thinking and I kind of know what he's thinking. So it's nice to be able to have that connection. And I think that's with a lot of people on our team, whether it's running the ball or passing the ball. All of our receivers all have a good relationship with Jalen as well.
San Diego State tight end Mark Redman with us right now. Mark, is it meaningful to you when you hear that you're one of just 3 tight ends since at least 1996 at San Diego State to have 2 or more touchdown receptions in a game? One of the other 2, the late Gavin Escobar, who played with Ryan Lindley. What does that mean to you?
It's humbling. I mean, it's obviously, as you just said, it doesn't come around much. So it's something that I was really appreciative of, and something that I hope that we can continue to do, and just spread the ball around, whoever it be, whether it be a receiver that gets 3 touchdowns one game or it's a running back. I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter. Accolades are awesome and all, but I mean, if we could win all 12, 13, 14, 15 games this year, that'd be the best part for me.
Mark, how do you guys go into this weekend and not overlook Idaho State, because you guys have UCLA coming up after that?
I mean, you just take it one game at a week. You can't jump ahead to whatever week you want to think about, week 3, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, that's a problem for another time. So we're just locked in right now on Idaho State and what we're going to get from them, and we're just trying to handle that and take care of business this week.
Mark, before you go, I did want to ask you, though, about Ethan Garbers, and correct me if I'm wrong. So UCLA's quarterback just named their starter. You played with the Corona Del Mar. You also played with at Washington, right? And he transferred to UCLA. You transferred to San Diego State. You'll see him again, not this weekend, but next. How happy are you for him, a guy that you spent a lot of time playing football with?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on with that. And he even texted me after the game. He said, "Congrats, brother. I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks." So I don't know if it's a little love-hate relationship going on right now, but after the game, it'll definitely be love. But before, I think we're enemies for the next 2 weeks there.
Right. Exactly. And what's weird with football, and we'll let you go, Mark, is like with opposing offenses, you're not even on the field at the same time.
Right.
It's like Ethan Garbers is on the field. You don't really have an impact.
You never go against each other.
Right. And of course, he's not playing against you either. Do you ever think about that as a football player?
Definitely. I mean, when I was at Washington, we played UCLA at the time. I wanted to go against them, and this year I'll want to be on the defense somehow. Maybe I can talk to Coach Maddox and we can work that in. Just one play.
Exactly.
Yeah, only if you're up by 40.
Exactly. Mark, appreciate it. Congratulations. What a week. It really was a fun week. San Diego State gets the win over Ohio. Personally, you had the couple of touchdown receptions, and we'll see you this weekend for Idaho State at Snapdragon Stadium. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you again.
All right, Mark Redman. Again, tickets are available for Saturday at GoAztecs.com. 7:30 kick. Pregame coverage at 5:30. You never know, Jim, with the sports, but the potential for this year for Mark Redman is through the roof.
It's like this year, if he has a good season, and if any indication by after his first game, he's gonna, like, you're talking, mid-round draft pick. I mean, 4th, 5th round. I mean, tight end,
No doubt.
like, very, very valuable.
No question about it. It's exciting. If you're an Aztec fan, and for Mark's future, not just collegiately, but professionally, it's got to be as exciting as possible for him and his family. All right, Jim's back page on the other side. Stay with us. All right, we're giving away Weezer tickets coming up next, plus Jim's back page. All right, who wants Weezer tickets? Caller 5. They are yours. 844-570-1360. We've got 2 free tickets to see Weezer, Gallagher Square, September 3rd. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. 844-570-1360. Caller 5. They're yours. Weezer, Gallagher Square, September 3rd. 844-570-1360.
After that 2 RBI single by Jose Azocar, do you believe again?
No doubt. So all of a sudden the Padres take a lead, and then Jim's like, what'd you say? You're like, who's trailing? You're like, this team's trailing, and Padres are winning.
Oh, yeah.
Who's trailing? I don't even know who's trailing. Someone's trailing tonight.
The Marlins are trailing.
Marlins are trailing.
The Diamondbacks play the Dodgers.
Diamondbacks could lose.
Cubs are winning.
Giants are in there. There's like a million teams.
But it's just going to be
they got some work to do.
So annoying because they're going to creep back in, right? It's going to be like,
are they though?
No, they're not. I don't believe that.
We'll see. Padres looking for 2 in a row tonight against the
season
Cards.
saved because of Jose Azocar.
It was a big hit. It really was.
Yeah,
All right, Brent, let's get to it. All right. What did we miss?
Krispy Kreme, John, starting on September 1st through September 4th, is doing a one last bite of summer special donut promotion. The strawberry glazed Krispy Kreme donuts will be available from September 1st through September 4th.
Okay.
It's their last bite of summer promotion. So would you want
last bite of summer?
Would you want a strawberry glazed Krispy Kreme donut?
Me, maybe not. Would you? Are you a strawberry glazed donut guy?
You could convince me.
Yeah, honestly, you could convince me probably.
John, I would eat most any donut, and I would also eat most any dessert. So you just tell me, hey, Krispy Kreme, I'm pretty much in.
I don't like end of summer promotions. I always have hated back to school stuff. I feel like summer keeps getting shorter.
Mm-hmm. But we don't have a summer vacation.
No, we don't. But I like the concept of summer.
We do.
And school starts like middle of August.
And you and Jones will start soon going to like preschool.
Yeah, it's like I just want summer to be longer. I've always hated end of summer stuff.
Well, guess what, John? We live in San Diego,
and I'm not in school, so what do I even care?
And San Diego's weather is pretty much 72 sunny outside every single day for the entire year.
True, although it's hot today.
It's very hot today,
but it's nice. Okay, so Krispy Kreme, swing by.
Also, Apple has announced they will launch officially the iPhone 15 on September 12th.
This is interesting.
Why do you say that?
Because I have the 14.
Did you just buy the 14?
Yeah, within the last year. I like it. I don't need the 15. What's really changing?
I have the 12 mini.
You should get the 15.
Seriously. I probably should. But just be prepared out there for your older phone to start acting up. Because every time, and they actually got sued for this because like they legitimately made the software harder to run on older phones. So it would force old iPhone users to go out and buy the newest iPhone.
Well, that's a way to guarantee you'll always have business.
True that.
The 15. What's going to be different?
Nothing.
You can play music and it has the internet and a touch screen. Yeah,
exactly.
So what's next?
Exactly. You might like this a lot, John. ESPN is going to televise 75 college football games in movie theaters this year, including the ACC and New Year's Six bowl games. ESPN previously aired the 2021 and 2022 college football playoff games in theaters through a partnership with Cinemark.
Let me ask this.
Okay.
I mean, why hasn't someone done it sooner? Now they've done it the last couple of years.
Done what?
Play college football or NFL at movie theaters. That's what ESPN's doing that with ACC games. There's like a series of games and the
bowl
playoffs.
Games. Yeah.
And why haven't they done that sooner? And do you want to do that? Do you want to watch a game with, I don't know.
I would not want to watch it in a movie theater.
It's one thing if it's like, UFC pay-per-view or boxing or even wrestling or something like that, to where it's like, I don't want to shell out $60 to watch the fight, but I'll shell out 15 to go to, AMC to watch it and big deafening sound.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe.
Are you going to go in San Diego to watch like NC State against Pitt, ACC game of the week on like September 17th?
Let me answer that for you really quickly.
No.
Finally, Dairy Queen's fall menu is returning with a fan favorite Blizzard, an all new flavor that you can try for less than $1.
Pumpkin spice,
pumpkin pie.
Starting on September 11th. The ice cream chain is offering 85-cent Blizzards. The promotion lasts through September 24th.
Wait, just any Blizzard for 85 cents?
I think it might be just a regular Blizzard. Now,
what? That's amazing.
To celebrate the chain's fall Blizzard menu, here are the Blizzards that will be on the menu. Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie, like Brent said.
Snickerdoodle cookie dough.
That's amazing.
Caramel fudge cheesecake. Oreo hot cocoa. Reese's peanut butter cups. Reese's peanut butter cup pie. And cocoa dipped strawberries.
85 cents.
85 cents.
For 2 weeks. I love Dairy
10.
Queen. 10 for $8.50?
I love Dairy Queen too.
I absolutely love it.
The fall menu is already available at Dairy Queen, but the 85-cent offer doesn't start until September.
Okay,
11th.
but pumpkin pie is available now.
Available right now.
I might have to hit that up, Brent.
Like literally, I'm kind of with you.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of Dairy Queens out here though.
No, there's not. I know. I drive like 20 miles.
You have to go like Miramar. Is like the one off the top of my head.
What are you gonna do? 85 cents, kind of worth it.
It is. Once it's 85 cents, I agree.
Too bad gas is $85 a gallon
True.
again.
Oh,
Good
that's
point.
right. That's
Do
right.
they deliver? All right. If you missed anything, sportssd.com.
It's too hot.
iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, YouTube. You can find us there. Search John and Jim 760. We're back tomorrow. Find us on social media, by the way, at John and Jim, JONANDJIM. We're back tomorrow at 3. Join us then. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. It's the all-new San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.